that, so that for people that, for the metaverse, it's likely something like people are hosting meetings and stuff. So you likely be modeling all those interiors. So it's important that you know how to do that. So that's what we'll be geared towards. Okay. So without much ado, let's dive into Blender. So today we'll be starting with the very first modifier that we'll be talking about, and the modifier we'll be talking about is the array modifier. Okay, array. So I will be doing some exercises in class. Today is supposed to be quite longer, so I will be doing up to 4 or 5 exercises, and yeah. And please remember, if you have any questions or there's something I'm doing along the line, because we are getting this to the class of Blender, that you need to be quite attentive. So if there's something you don't understand, or I miss a step, or you miss a step that we're following, you can please call me back immediately, so that we don't go too far before you try to bring us back. Is that clear? Okay. I'm waiting for responses actually.
Yes, yes.
All right, good. Okay, good. So now we have Blender opened up. Let me delete everything that's seen. So I'll start with a fresh empty scene. Okay. So this is our scene. Okay. Now, what is the array modifier? I think I explained earlier that the array modifier is just like helping you to duplicate objects along to duplicate objects to replicate it several times, right? So if I have an object, let me add basic let me add a default monkey head, my favorite monkey head. Look at it here. It's looking very jagged. So these are monkey head. It's called the Suzanne monkey head. You can see the name here, Suzanne monkey head. Oh, sorry, let me turn on the screencast keys so you can see, so you can follow along with every step. Okay. All right. Um, yeah. Okay. I see the screencast keys too. Hello.
Yes, yes. See.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so if I have a monkey head now, let's say for example, I want to model like 1,000 army of monkeys that I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to create a cartoon for any reason. You want to model 1,000 army of monkeys, right? So the normal way you're supposed to do this is you model this, then maybe you duplicate this, shift D to duplicate, like this. Now you have to. Okay, so you want to model 1,000, so maybe just highlight everything again, shift D to duplicate, X axis. Oh, now you have 4, and select everything again, shift D to duplicate on X axis. Now you have 8, right? So you can just keep doing that, right? Up until you hit 1,000, right? Or the proper way to do it, okay? Let me do everything here. The proper way to do this is to use the array modifier. And how does the array modifier work? You click on the object that you want to modify, then you come over here to the right, the panel. So the icon that looks like a range, or like a spanner rather, that icon is the array modifier icon. So you select on that icon, it will bring it, you probably not see anything here. So there are a lot of them. Don't worry, we'll get into quite a few. We will not go into all of them because Blender is so broad. But we're going to the major ones that you will likely be using. I can assure you, you never have to use all of them. You may just need a few, depending on on your specification basically. Okay, so the modifier is the number one here. It's written here array. Okay, so you can see the icon kind of illustrates what it does. It's like duplicating it, so you can select on the array modifier, and immediately when I select the array modifier, you see that the object became 2. Um, the reason why it became 2 is because the amount of counts that I made the array modifier to is 2. So you can increase this number to, I don't know, 100. So you discover that I have 100 monkey heads now. Oops. Yeah, exactly. So imagine you are duplicating this by hand. You have to start duplicating before you get to 100. It can be very, very, very tedious. And since we are looking for an army of 1,000 monkey heads, that means we need to duplicate them on ranks, right? You know how armies are. Those of us that watch Korean movies, you know how all those medieval armies used to form ranks when they are going to war. Okay, so what you can do now, this is the beauty of arrays modifiers generally. You can add a modifier to another modifier. Okay, so you add modifiers, just like saying if you okay, let's if Stefan, I'm just picking a name around. If Stefan is going on a wonderful date now with a beautiful lady, and sorry, I'm using you as an example. With that result, you can go crazy with this. Okay, so the same way you can have a modifier of the same type. So this we're using the array modifier now. So you can just if you want to form another rank on the back, you can add another modifier on top of this. But before we do that, let me just run through all these basic settings of the modifier. It can look scary at first. But let me reduce this number count so we don't have to be zooming out all the time. Let me say maybe 10. Okay. So we have 10 monkey heads now. A single relative unit of the size of the object, of course. It's a single relative unit. It's like they are touching, but if you want them to have like a kind of spacing, you come here. Now there are three different ways of offsetting them. Okay, if you want to offset the spacing between them, there are a few different ways. Okay, so you can offset them by relative offset. Because they are basically duplicating on the same at the same point in space. Or you can have constant offset. Okay, let me click this drop down so you can see the offset very well. Constant offset will be like you just have a specific amount of distance between each and every one of them. Now, this relative offset, it's just like the name implies, relative. It will create like a relative distance. The difference between relative offset and constant offset is kind of subtle, but it's in relative offset. It will create a distance relative to the size of the object. So, if this object is this, and I have relative offset to, let's say, 1 unit on the x-axis apart. Okay, so that means an identical when you duplicate it, the one it will be 1 unit apart. Then when you duplicate again, another one will be 1 unit apart, right? Relative to the size. So even if I have an object as big as, I don't know, that's this power bank, the distance will still be relatively the same. But if you have a constant offset, okay, if it's 1 unit in global space, the difference will not be, you may not really see the difference. You can see that they went in and what they call it, in the relative offset, their airs were touching, meaning that they were like directly spaced apart. But in constant offset, it's just the specific distance in the general space. I don't know if I don't know how to explain this unless you actually use it and see the effect. Okay, so that's the difference. And now you can see there are three options here: distance, showing the distance in x, y, and z, right? So you remember our gizmo, transform gizmo, or the coordinates in the 3D space. You have the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis, right? So if you want their distance, if you want to manipulate the distance between them in each axis, okay. So this is very flexible. There's so many controls you can manipulate it anyhow you like. So if you can on the x-axis now, if you want to increase the distance, okay, you can just go a little bit further. You can see as I'm increasing the distance between them is actually increasing. It's increasing, right? So I'm increasing the distance. So in a real battlefield, they will likely be slightly spaced apart like this. Okay. So good. This is them. Now, if you want to have them offset, if you want to, let's say you wanted them to be, don't worry about the body now. We're just talking about it. If you want them to be of different height, so since the vertical axis is the z-axis. Now can now offset it on the z-axis. Okay. So they have this kind of total tallest kind of thing. Understand? So you can go so crazy with this. You can imagine how the only your imagination is basically your limit. Okay. So you can change the offsets in any directions. That's just the basics. And same rule work for a relative offset. Now object offset, that's where the things get interesting. Okay. So let me put this back to zero. Back to zero. Or I can just deselect this. If I deselect this, it will render null and void regardless of whatever number I have here. Okay. So now object offset. Now object offset is like you're offsetting the distance or the position of each of the duplicates relative to another object. Okay. Now let me take us slightly to affect class. I think okay, sorry, second class rather. In second class, when I was adding shift A to add, I told us that they are different. All these objects are different and they behave differently, right? Now I mentioned empty briefly. That empty is like it doesn't really um show up in your scene. It doesn't really okay. It shows up, but that's in the working viewport, but it doesn't show up in the rendered view or in your final product, right? It's just like a marker point, exactly, like a marker point. So let's say you model this object now, and you want this object to do like a somersault around something, right? Around a particular point in space. But how will you mark whichever point in space? Is that's when you use empties, okay? So just empties just to tag a random point, okay? Or a specific point that you want something to happen to. So for now, let me add an object empty, okay? Let me add an empty object. So I'll explain what I mean. Empty. So you just shift A to add, comes down to empty, and basically all of these empties are the same thing. It's just whichever shape pleases your eyes. There's really no difference. I can assure you. There's no difference. It's just whichever shape pleases your eyes. So you can add plane axis and bring it up. So you see, this is how the plane axis looks like. Okay. Or you add whatever. They all behave the same way. I can assure you. Or empty arrows and bring it out. So you see. Or let me just say. Okay. So you can see that it's basically like just random. Let me add a cube so you can see this better. So this cube, don't be confused. This cube is not a mesh. That means it's not something that you can model. You can't go into edit mode of this cube. If you come here, you can see that there's no edit mode. You can't really manipulate anything about an empty. Generally about empty, you can adjust the size by scaling it, but like I said, it doesn't really change anything. Because it's not really it's more like a target point. Okay, it's more like a target. So it won't show up in your render. You can scale it. You can even scale it on specific axis, like scaling on Z axis, scale it on Y axis, as make it go crazy with it. Okay. Now, why did I add this empty? I wanted to explain the object offset, right? So now, if I want to offset the distance or the way this object, or the way this the monkey head is, let me do this and add it at the center. I'll explain why I'm adding the cube again at the center. When you want to displace, when you want to offset the duplicates, the distance between the duplicates in a pattern that you want, that's when you use object offset. So let me click object offset now. It will be prompting me to select which object. Now, if you know the name of this object is named empty. Okay, that's the name of empty. That's the name of the object. you can type in empty here. Yeah. When you click it, it will even show you all the objects that you have in your scene that can serve as object offset. So you can easily click it, or you don't know the name of your object, or you have so many objects you just can't start looking for scrolling to look for the name. You can click this eyedropper. So those of us that use Photoshop and some of this picture edit software, you understand this eyedropper tool. So you can click the eyedropper tool. It will change your icon to look like a eyedropper. Then you hover over the object that you want to use as the empty object, and click the empty object. Okay. When you click the empty object, it might seem as if nothing happened immediately. Don't forget that our duplicate count is 10, right? So all the 10 monkey heads are still lying on the same monkey head. Now it might seem as if nothing happened. Wait until I start moving this empty object. So if I move this empty object now, you can see what happened. It's moving relative to the offset of this the of the cube. So as what I'm moving is the cube. Bear in mind, what I selected was the cube, that empty cube, and what I'm moving around is the cube, and that's why it's going. It's the relative the way the cube is relative to the origin to each other, and that's how to create a crazy wonderful pattern. Okay, that's the power of object offset. Now you can even go a step further to make this look so. If I want to say I want to arrange all of them in a spiral, I don't know. Have any of us watched the show, TV show Game of Thrones? Okay, hello, is everybody listening? Hello. Okay, good.
Yes, yes.
All right, yes, good. You've watched Game of Thrones, right? If you remember in Game of Thrones, in the beginning, I'm sorry to those that have not watched. In the beginning, there was that, I think the first or second episode of the very first season, when there was a slaughter. I think they killed some people. They now cut their body parts and arrange them in a spiral. So if you wanted to do something like that, like arranging, if I wanted to make this monkey head, the array to be arranged in a spiral, for example, all I have to do is, let me go to the top view. Okay, Z axis, 7 to go into the top view and 5 to make it orthographic, right? So what I'll do is I can just grab the cube on any axis, let's say, I don't know, Y axis, for example, and then I now rotate. Now I can see it's forming like a spiral, and you can go crazy with this. You can bring it out, I don't know, do some very strange things with this. If you were to model this by hand, you have to start taking each object one by one. You duplicate it, then now look for where to paste it, where you place it at the point. You duplicate that one and again, you look for this. You can see that it can be really tedious. Well, with the array modifier, it has skyrocketed. It has shot up your time time you would have consumed. It has reduced the time you would have consumed to model this in just a fraction of the time. Okay, so that's the power of the array modifier. And this is just like, you might be wondering, okay, yeah, it's cool, you duplicated several monkey heads, so what's the big deal? We're going to use it to do some quite interesting things. Let me Google something, so I'll show you some things. Yeah, look at this. I googled this. It was done with the array modifier. Okay, we'll be modeling this. This is a Mayan. I don't know if you know Mayans, right? It's a pyramid, a Mayan pyramid. It has like steps. It's basically for human sacrifice and stuff like that, ancient Mayan stuff. So we'll be modeling this in this class right now. We'll be modeling this, and we'll be using the array modifier for you to see how powerful, or how powerful you can use the array modifier, or what the kind of things you can use the array modifier to do. Also, we'll be modeling a jet engine. Let me quickly Google. So modeling a jet engine fan blade, yes, this exactly. We'll be doing this using the array modifier. These are just to give you an example of things that can be done with the array modifier. Okay, so we'll be doing this also in this class. We'll be doing these two. We're doing this, and if time permits, we can if time permits, we can still model some other things like, I don't know, a tank track, okay? And we'll be making a spiral steps, okay? So before I do that, let me delete everything now, and we start over. What we're trying to do, let me try and make a spiral step or a general step to show you one of the ways you can apply the array modifier. So what I'm trying to do is to make a step, just a simple step with a simple step basically. So before to do that, a step, the basic shape of a step is a cube, okay? So I'll be adding a cube for to start with, okay? Going to edit mode, tapping tab to go to edit mode. I can scale this on the x-axis, okay? Scale this on the x-axis, scale it also on the z-axis, okay? So we have our first step. Now when you're dealing with the array modifier, of course you likely want to create the most basic unit of the object, okay? So basic unit, then you now duplicate that to create the final look of the object. So now we'll just let this serve as our step for now, and to create our step, we'll add in the empty, okay? Pardon me. So let me add maybe I should add a sphere for now for change. So this is still the same empty. They do the same thing. You don't have to worry about it. Don't get worked up about the shape, okay? So now make sure the array modifier is going to be added to the mesh object. Please have that in mind. So you select the mesh object to add the array modifier, right? So now let's add the array modifier, okay? Now by default it's added to the extreme end of it, but I don't want the modifier to be added to this side. I want it to add it to the back, like, because we're trying to create a step. You know how a step is now. So it's going wanted to add it at the back, right? So we don't want it to be added at the lengthwise side. So what we do, we just check the axis. The axis that we want it to add to is the y-axis, okay? And right now, from relative offset, it's added to the x-axis. Then the x-axis is the offset point because every other thing is 0 and the x-axis is 1, okay? Please, if you don't understand something, please interrupt me, or feel free. So we'll just reduce this to 0 back, take this back to 0, and the offset will now be snapped. The offset will be snapped back to the origin. Now we said we want to displace it around the y-axis, right? So at y-axis we'll increase this, let's say 1, for example. 1 is not too bad. You might not see the difference now. So just okay, good. I think we should just make it this, just to separate them together. Sorry for that. Okay, good. Sorry for that, actually, my bad. Okay, so now we can increase the amount of counts to the amount of steps that we want in our step, okay, in our stairs, right? So let me just make it, okay, let's just do 10, okay, for example, for examples. Now 10, and you note that a step is always what the next level is higher than the previous level, next level higher than the previous level, like that. That's how it climbs, okay? So we don't just increase it on the x-axis, we want to increase it on the z-axis also, okay? So that's the z-axis, the y-axis. So we can just, I don't know, just keep increasing to the point. Let me add one. Let me make it 2. Sorry, 2. I see that we're already having our basic step shape. Let me make it higher. Let's say 4, for example. Don't worry about you. There's no basic rule about this. Just do this to your discretion. Okay. 4 is okay, or we can just make it 5. Just for, yeah, 5 is perfect. Okay, good. Now this step is too far apart, so I want to bring them closer together. So I'll reduce it on the y-axis, okay? And good. Is it maybe even more? More. Good. And I already have my steps. Now let's make the step some sides to hold the the planes for the stairs together. Okay. So I'm adding a cube. Okay. I'm going to edit mode, and what I'll do is scale this. Okay, scale this on the z-axis. Okay, still on the z-axis. And then this is what I'll do. Watch what I'm doing now. I'm going into the side view, right? I press 3 to go to the side view. Now go into the wireframe view. There's a reason why I'm going to wireframe view, so that, okay, maybe I forgot to mention, I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous classes. If you're in wireframe view, you can select things that are behind. Okay, you see this, let's say you see this vertex now. If it's behind, and I can still select, it's behind in view relative to my observing point. So if I was in solid view now, okay, let me just, if I was in solid view and I want to select it, I won't be able to select. Nothing will select. You can see the vertex is not selected. But if you're in wireframe, this is one of the advantages of wireframe. You'll be able to select what's behind because it's kind of transparent. You understand? Okay. So that's why I'm going into wireframe. Let me go back to 3 in the front view, and then I'll select the entire thing. And because I'm wireframe, I'm sure that it selected the vertices at the back too. Okay. So why did I select only the top? Because I'm trying to create a the, I don't know, the, not the railings now, the like the board that will hold all these steps together. Okay. So if I grab that, I can just move only those to somewhere around here. Okay. And I'll grab it at this lower part too and do the same. Maybe something around here. Okay, good. Let me go to solid view back. Good. Now there's another shortcut key for something. Let's say if you have two objects that are overlapping each other like this, but them, let me say for example, let me select this A to select everything.
Excuse me, please. How do you go into the wireframe mode?
Sorry, who's talking? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, me. Okay,
hear me?
Yes.
Mustafa, you're also raising your hand.
How do you get into the wireframe?
Can you go back a little? Can you go back a little, please?
Okay.
Sorry for. Yeah.
Yes, let me say something. Like I said, when I'm working on Blender, I will not be able to view this page. Okay. So if you raise your hand and you're on this page, I won't be able to see if you're raising your hand. So you can just unmute your mic and call my attention to it. Okay, Mustafa.
Okay.
All right. So before I get to you, Mustafa, let me just answer Olaimi first. What I did was Z. Okay, to get into wireframe view, we can tap Z. It will bring out all the options of the whether wireframe rendered and material view. So you can just go left into wireframe view, and you can there's a there's a shortcut way of doing it. You can hold down the Z and go to the wireframe, and even without clicking, if you release the Z, it will snap to that, or you just tap the Z and then you go to whatever view you want, maybe solid view, and then you click select. Okay, that's one way to do this. The other way is you can come up here to the top right. Can you see me? Hear me? Hello, me?
I can see you. Yes, okay, I can see.
All right, to the top right, you can see like there are four different spherical balls here. Okay, so each of them is for the different modes you can be. You can be in solid view. Solid view, you can see that's the one that has like the plain ball. The other one that looks like the ball is kind of shaded. That's the viewport shading, or the material view. Okay, to show the material view, since we have no material in it, that's why everything's looking plain white. Okay, so if you want to see in the rendered view how it will look like in the final result, okay, that was what the this other one looks like. So you can click it. Please don't be alarmed. This is not wireframe view. I know it might look like wireframe. The reason why everything is somewhat blackish now is because there's no lighting in our scene. Okay, so everything is kind of dark. All right. So, and wireframe is this one that looks like a transparent wired ball. Okay. If you don't know which is which, you don't need to memorize it. Just hover your mouse over it. It will bring a description. Wireframe, you can see it's written wireframe. And then this is also solid. This, so you don't need to memorize anything. Just hover your mouse over it to display. Do you get that? What allow me?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Mustafa, you can ask your question, please.
just said you should help me to get back a little. My network glitch here the other time, so I couldn't get what you did.
Okay.
Like how you bend the
Okay. You mean this center? What something over here? Let me go to Solidity.
Yes. From when you wanted to move it up and in that slant form.
Okay. Okay. Let me redo it again. Okay. Before I
Okay.
delete this, I'll do it again. Before I delete this, notice that when I press A, it will select everything, all right? But it's not selecting this slant object. Okay, that's to show you that when you are in edit mode, okay, it's as if you've excluded every other thing. You're only specific about the object you are working on. Okay, so when you press A to select all, it will only select everything in that particular object. All right,
Okay.
it will only select all the vertices, edges, and
Okay.
things that particular object. So if I go to object mode right now and I press A to select every other thing in my scene, okay, so that's the difference, right? So let me just delete this, so I'll start again. All right, so did you get to the point of where we got these steps, right? This the stairs of the steps of the stair. Hello, Mustafa. Mustafa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, good. Okay, I said, did you understand how we got these steps?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
good.
I go to some. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so now what I said it was I wanted to add like this. If you Google stairs, let me just, I don't know, have some reference pictures. You notice that a step. The idea is like a step in real life. Steps will not just be hanging in the air like this. It's not possible. Okay, so you need something like to support it. You understand? So that's what I'm trying to do, and you can actually look for some references and get some images. Okay, yeah, see this for example. Don't worry. It's in your own time. You can just, okay. I think that will be your assignment for today. Let me let me know. Let me know jinx it. Okay. So look at these steps. This step. You can see that the way it's something similar to say that's what we're doing. Okay. So I think we should even do this. Oh, let me just do this one first. Then we'll get to this. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add like some support to the all the individual steps. Okay, so that's what I tried to do. I added a cube. All right, I added a cube, and I said that if you are in wireframe mode, let me go to object to edit mode rather. And I said that if you are in wireframe mode, you'll be able to select the things at the back of your view. So look at this cube now. Look at this cube now. If I wanted to select this vertex, right? I'm looking at it, that I'm facing the vertex. The vertex is in my view. That's why I can select it. But if the vertex is hidden from my view, I won't be able to select it because it's going to be somewhere around here. But if you're in wireframe view, notice how I did wireframe. I just tap Z to go to wireframe. And I'm in wireframe now. If I'm in wireframe, I'll be able to select all the vertices regardless of whether they are behind or in front or whichever way. Okay. And there's a reason for that, so that it will make my selection easier. Okay, I could as well just come up here and select 1, 2, 3, 4. But I told you that it's good practice to always look for things that will make your work faster, because sometimes your workload can be so wide. Imagine you're creating like the entire scene here, and creating the entire scene here. So that means you model the stairs, the chair, the TV behind here, the plant, everything. You're modeling this, and let's say you have just one day to do all of that, and you are wasting your time trying to select everything. You need to look for everywhere you can cut down time. Okay, so that's modeling practice. Okay, so now if I wanted to select everything here, I could just do this, or if I'm already in this view, I'll just go into wireframe, so I'll be able to select the back and select everything here. Now, okay, how I selected was I used box select. Now, if you are doing this on your keyboard, on your mouse, on your in your own viewport, and it's not bringing up this dotted square selection button, what you can do is you can tap W a few times. Okay, tap the just observe it or this at this point on the at the top left here. It will show you what is actually doing right now. W will toggle between all those. Okay, so if you tap W, so what it's doing now is it created a circle around it. So anywhere the circle of influence is, will select everything there. Okay, so that's for circle select. But what I wanted was the square, the box select. So you can tap W again, and this one brings up the word lasso selection. To those of us that use Photoshop will be familiar with something like this. Okay, so I can just go word with this selection. Yeah, but I don't like that it can be confusing at times. So I'm going to tap W. W just eliminate all the selection possibilities, so you'll be able to select now. And press W again to bring up the square. Now look at this, like a dotted square here. That's showing that you are in the box select mode. Okay. So now I'll select everything at the top here, and I said I wanted to create the support, right? So I'll just grab G to grab, or let me bring up my move gizmo. My move gizmo. Notice the move gizmo. I can just move it here, move it here, or if I want to move it at both X and Y axis, I'll select this red square here, and I'll be able to move it like this. Okay, let me center this, move this here. Okay, good. Now let me highlight the lower part. Okay, lower part, and then do the same, move it somewhere here. Let me even make it same thing here. I'm just eyeballing it. There's no really any specific rule to it per se. Okay, good. So I've done that. Let me go to solid view so you can see it properly. So now it's appeared at the center, right? Now I said I wanted to teach you something. There's something called island select. See, if you have like multiple objects that are in edit mode, they are all of them are in the same edit mode, but they are overlapping each other. So when I wanted to select everything here, now I press A to select everything. Okay, but if we have something like a situation where, let me duplicate this here, let me duplicate it again, something like this here, and maybe repeat it a bit. Okay, now we have all these three objects, they are in the same edit mode, right? But they are somewhat like different objects now. But I want to select only this the center one that we just did now, this or a center one, everything, all the entire box. So there's a command called island select that is not joined to another object by a line or a face or something like that. So that object is on its own in the same edit mode. So just hover over any of the vertices. You hover your mouse over any of the vertices, and then you tap L for island select. And notice that it will select only that one that we created. Okay, so you can now maybe manipulate it and do whatever you want with it. Okay, so that's island select. Did you get how I did the island select? Hello?
Not really.
Okay, let me do that again. Okay, let me go to object mode. Now we're in object mode. Okay, this is one object itself. This steps is another object on its own. Okay, the empty is another object, but it's not a mesh object. But so let me go into, if I want to edit this center stuff, okay, I'll select it and I'll go into its edit mode. Okay, you understand, right? Let me just select everything. Now in the edit mode, this block stuff, they are overlapping each other. They are like on top of each other, all of them. If you look at it very well, they're on top of each other, right? Let's say I want just one. There are three blocks now. There's one here, and there's one here, right? If I want to select just one of the blocks, right? I don't want to select this one. I don't want to select this one. How do I do that? Now I could start looking for all the vertices that bound the block. Maybe I can say 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for the top part. This is the lower part. It can be confusing because the vertices are so and they are overlapping so much that you can't really know which is which. So Um, what's the end of it? You see, I can't even find the end of it. Okay, good. Oh, you see, I've even selected the wrong vertex. So it's if you're trying to do that, try to look for where one object ends, one other ends, so you can select it. If you want to select it, that's it's going to be like quite confusing. Okay, so that's where island select comes in. It's called island select, meaning you select an object that is not bounded by another, but is complete in its own end. You saw how I created this block, right? The block, a single block, is has all its complete faces, the six faces, the six the all the edges and vertices, right? So I want to select only that. You just hover your mouse over any of the vertex of the object. Okay, any of the vertex. If I'm not, even if I'm not selecting this one, let's say I want to select this one now. Just hover your mouse over any of the vertex and you tap in L. Just tap L. It will select only that one. Notice that. Let me go into wireframe so you can see it properly. Because that is only this block that has been selected. Let me do that again. You can do it in wireframe mode too. It doesn't matter. And to select only that block. Did you get it now? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good. So that's it. That's about island select. So let me just move this over to this side. I can delete this other one since I don't really need it. Okay. So I'm moving this over to this side. Let me go to solid view so you see properly. Right? And let me select A. I can, since this is the only thing in the object, no, I can press A to select everything. Okay. So I will now scale this on the x-axis. Okay. I'm trying to make it just that support stuff. Okay. Okay. We can start coming into shape a bit. Let's move this on a little bit. Good. So we've created one side. We can just duplicate it to create the other side, or we use array modifier again. Okay. So just for reference, I can actually duplicate since it's just two I need. But if you are doing something that if you need like 200 or a lot of this, it's better use the array modifier. But for the sake of this class, let me use the array modifier. So the array modifier, I'll just come here. Remember, you click on this range, this spanner icon for to go into the modifier panel, and then click on add modifier, and you look for array. This is the array modifier. Select array. Okay. Now it wants it to be on the other side. So just I can drag. Okay, sorry. What I'm doing here, you can either be clicking this, or you just click randomly into this and you drag to automatically do that. So good. This is done. Now another advantage of array modifier that's very important, very crucial. Imagine you had like 1,000 objects. Okay, now you've created 1,000 objects and you've duplicated them 1,000 times successfully without the array modifier, and you want to change. Let's say maybe I want to make this. Okay, let me go to the steps, the initial step here. Exactly. Now I have 10 steps in this staircase, right? And I want to change the way each staircase look, right? So I want to maybe I want the this I want to make maybe like a small design bump on it. So let me don't worry about what I'm doing. What I did was I added a loop cut and I put now to scale this, make just a small design. Notice that when I did that, it applied the same thing to every one of the steps, every one of these steps, right? So that's the advantage. If I had modeled this by hand, if I did that, I would need to start doing the same thing on each and every one of them, one by one, one by one, by one by one, which would be very time consuming, of course. So that's the advantage of the array modifier. When you do something, do the same, it will instantaneously implement the same difference across all the remaining duplicates. Okay. So let me just undo all this, Ctrl Z to undo all the changes I made. Now let's go back to object mode. So basically, we've created our staircase now using the array modifier. Yeah, basically we use only the array modifier. Okay, only the array modifier. We created the staircase. If I was doing this by hand, I have to model each and every one of those steps one by one, and that would be very, very time consuming. Okay, so this is just one of the applications of the array modifier. Okay, did we? Is there any question about how I got this from anybody before I go on to the next exercise? We have quite a few exercises. Remember, we're still going to create this the Mayan pyramid. Okay, I'm tempted to make this your assignment, but you might have some issues, so I think we should just do it in class. All right. So, is there any question so far? Hello.
Hello. I want to know if the class is recorded.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was asking if the class is recorded.
Okay. I believe the class is recorded. Maserichi. Yes, the class is recorded actually.
This is my first time. I'll be happy if I can get the first two classes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I think. Okay. Yes. All the classes have been recorded, and they're on the YouTube channel, so you can check the YouTube channel for all the recordings.
Great.
But for those of us that are still new, maybe this is your first class, we're still discussing though. I don't know. We'll come to a consensus today if we'll be able to have just one catch-up class for everybody, so we can just run like a brief overview of all the things we've done in the first 3 classes, so that you'll be able to follow along in the subsequent classes. Do you understand?
That would be fantastic.
All right, excellent. So you'll get our feedback on the catch-up class by the end of today. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, good. So, so far with everything I've done, does anyone have any question? Hello, any questions?
No.
Okay, Tolapa, you're lost. Okay. Tolapa, did you get the box now? Did you get how I made the box now?
No, I didn't get the box. I got the steps though. But
and I was asking any question, you didn't talk now.
I was able with my system. I just come back. Sorry, boss.
Okay, can you speak up? I can barely hear you now.
Said I was lost. I've messaged since, but I don't want to.
Okay, like I said. Okay, so listen. Like I said, when I'm working on Blender, as you can see, this is exactly what I'm seeing on my screen. I cannot see who is messaging who or who is raising up their hand. So it's ideal you just unmute your mic temporarily to just call my attention that you have a question. Then I'll come to this page and we'll be able to discuss. Okay. So you typing the message here. I may not see it until I come back to this page later on. So that's why I said you can feel free to interrupt me. Okay. So Mustafa, Teniola, you're welcome. Stefan, Olaemi, every other person. Is everything clear with what I've done so far?
Yes. It's clear for me.
Stefan, yeah. Good. Okay, good. I can see Stefan's hand. Okay, so that's that. You can see we've created a staircase now, and we just the array modifier. Shortly will be. So now let's go to the next exercise, which is the jet engine looking. We're getting to was that I don't know what to do. So this is basic jet, and don't worry, the object is wow, how do you want to begin? How do you want to model this? Just know that if you're modeling anything whatsoever, all you have to do don't look at the object as the entire object. Wow, this is big. What no. Look at the start with the smallest part basically, and the most basic unit of the object. When you look at this fan, what do you notice now? If you look at the fan, the jet engine properly, you notice that jet engine is nothing more than fans repeating themselves in an array. Okay, It's just the fans repeating themselves in an array. So the most basic unit is just one single fan blade. So it's as if the fan blades have been duplicated all to form an array, and then there's like a cone in the middle to streamline the air that is going in. This is just engineering. There's like a cone in the middle, and then same thing happens. It's the same fan. Let me open this one so you see it very well. Okay, it's not very big. Is this actually the second stages and the other stages of the fans? It's the same thing, literally the same thing that goes down, and then you just have some small bumps and everything. And we can actually even do this with the knowledge of with our knowledge that we have of extruding and use it to make this jet engine. That's just the shafts. We use it to make the shafts for jet engine. But before I do that, okay, I need to address something. Is Busola here? Busola. Okay, I can see Busola. Can you unmute your mic? Hello. Busola Sesi. I'm not sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Okay, I don't think she's with us. Okay, so basically just break down the geometry of anything, whatever you're trying to model, break down the basics of how it looks like and just model that. Okay, so we'll try to create this. Yeah, we're creating this in Blender now. So these are exercise now. But if you to understand it very well, just observe the object very well. You notice that it's like it has like an F4. It's called an F4 for those of us that have an engineering background. It's called an F4. But what that simply means is that let me make a sketch here. I don't know. Don't mind my drawing. Can you see my? Can you see the sketch I just made now? Oops, it's a little bit blur. Can you see the sketch I made now? Hello, are we still with me?
Yes.
Okay, we're able to see the sketch. So that's what an F4 is.
Yes.
Okay, good. An F4 is just like a it's like a water drop shape that is stretched out, okay, and it's curved. That's what an F4 is. So that's for aerodynamics and stuff. So if you notice, that's how the cross section of each blade looks like. So what would we do? How do we go about this if you want to do this? Let me save this. Okay, yeah, save the Blender file and okay. So now let me open a new Blender file and this everything I've seen. Okay, good. So if you want to go about this, about the jet engine shape, right? What do you do? Let's start with using the same knowledge of the array that we had. Let's start with each individual fan blade. Okay. So how do we do that? Let's create the fan blade. Now, if you look at the fan blade properly, the shape is looking somewhat curved. You're wondering how do you achieve that curved shape. Don't worry, just don't look at the fineness. Just look at the most basic shape. Roughen it up in the very flat format. Okay, just look for the basic shape. Or maybe we should start with the cone. Yes, I think we should even use the cone. This will even it will help me to explain something to you. Now you know that in I think in the last class I was mentioning that if you are modeling something, you should avoid modeling in object mode. Okay, you should avoid transforming in object mode. So if you had a I don't know, a cube, let's start with a cube. Okay, if you had a cube, avoid modeling this cube in object. We're in object mode now. Avoid modeling, scaling it in object mode. You scale it on this, X or something. Avoid doing this in object mode. You should go into edit mode before you do this. Okay. Now you understand why this is imperative now. So let me delete this cube. Let me add a cone. Okay, let me add a cone. All right, and let me add for just for example, let me add some another cube around this. Okay, so let me now to this cube. Oops, I just had power out. Okay, I had power out for a while now, so my battery is about to die. Can you give me like 5 minutes? We'll log off the meeting and I'll come back. I want to go and turn on the generator. So we'll log off the meeting and I'll be back to turn on the meeting. Okay. Sorry for the breaking
That's fine.
transmission.
No
All right.
problem.
All right. So give me 5 minutes to go and turn on the generator. If you edit in object mode, you might not really have too much experience these things too much, but there are times where you wouldn't want, if you have messed with the origin or how Blender understands the boundary of the object to be in object mode, it will start misbehaving, or it will do something things that you don't intend in the as time as you progress. Okay, so let me just delete everything in the scene so I can create a jet engine. Remember what we're trying to do with this jet engine. Okay, we're trying to create this now. So let's break down the shape to the very basic. The first one, that's the a single fan blade. Okay, so now a single fan blade. Make a single fan blade. Let's just add a cube. Okay, I think we can work with a cube. So let's add a cube. Okay, a basic cube, and you can just go into edit mode. Remember, you have to work in edit mode. And now you start scale. You can scale this on the z-axis. Okay, please pay attention. Be attentive. So first of all, let's make this flat. Let's make it like a. What we're going to do is like we're going to make a very a basic flat an object, flat blade. They will now twist it. We'll twist the object about its own axis. Okay, so it's going to create that effect. Let me go to reference. So look at each one. It's as if each of the fan is twisted along. Let me for something longer. Yeah, it's as if each fan fan is twisted along its own axis. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to simulate. That's what we're going to try to create. Okay, so that's just the base. So let's first of all let's make it flat. We scale it on the y-axis, for example. Let's say y-axis. And yeah, I think let's get to y-axis. Yeah, I think this is okay. Now also bear in mind that the when you look at the fan is as if the lower part is high it's as if it's getting wider as it goes out outward. You understand? So like the part that is closest to the center is slightly thinner, like it's thinner. Let me show us what I mean on the Blender. So that's like saying let me go to wireframe. Let me go to wireframe so you can see very well. I'm selecting everything again at bottom. If I scale this down, yes. So this the actual somewhat how um the 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 fan of the jet engine looks like. So as if the lower part is thinner than the outer part. Okay, the inner part is thinner than the outer part for each of the fan blades. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. Now also remember that we're trying to create the airfoil shape, that curved shape, cross section shape. It's as if it's sharpened on each of its ends. So that's what I'm going to try to do. But to see that properly, we're going to go into the top view. So I'm viewing this from the top now. This is how it looks like. So let's go to top view. Okay, I tap 7 to go into top view. And how do we do this? You can, you know what? Let me make yeah. Let me return it to the square graph. The everything to be equal for now. So let's go to top view. I'm going to wireframe. Okay. Please interrupt me if I'm going too fast or there's something you don't understand. Now, what I want to do is I want to make an F4, right? Now, to make an F4, the each is like each side here, like each side is somewhat sharp. This side is somewhat supposed to be like a curved shape, and this side is going to be sharp. And remember how we remember what we talked about in the last class. That's yesterday. Now it said something about bevel, right? So if we bevel these two edges, it will give us that curved shape for the front part, and then the back part we can just narrow them together. Okay, let me do what I'm saying so you understand what I mean. So if you come here and press Control B to bevel, Control B to bevel, and just let's look at it from the top so that we'll be able to know how, if the curvature is enough for us. So pressing 7 to go to top view. Okay, Control B, Control B. I can see this now. I said to increase the amount of segments in the bevel, you just scroll your mouse upward. So I'm scrolling my mouse upward. I can see that it's getting a little bit more curved. Let me scroll, maybe just one more. Okay, good. So I think we're good. Always try to minimize the amount of geometry you have, make it to the barest minimum. Okay. So now we've made one side curved. Okay. So now let's continue. Let's finish the cross section of the F4. And to do that, let's go to wireframe. If an airfoil, a real airfoil, it has like, I don't know, it has the, when we look at, let me go to our reference. Yeah, I can say it's not just like each side is sharp, it's kind of curved also. So we're going to account for that too. Okay. So let's go to solid view so I'll see it properly. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add a loop cut all around the our blade from this on the. So to add this, do you remember the shortcut key to add a loop cut? Let me pick someone at random. Teniola.
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you remember the shortcut key to add a loop cut around an object?
No, I don't.
Okay, let me see. Yemi, I'm sure you remember, right? Oh,
No, I don't though.
Stefan. Okay, Mubarak. Mubarak is using his hand.
Control R.
Excellent. Good. So shortcut key is Control R. Okay, that's to add a loop cut around the entire object. So Control R to add a loop cut around the entire object. On here, these are cases where you need to understand your model. Okay. Now you notice that when I press Control R, it's not going all around my object, and there's a reason for that. There's a rule of thumb in Blender or in modeling generally in anything. Always try to model your object in such a way that each face is having 4 sides. Let me repeat that. Always try to model your object. Looking at this object now, there are several faces. Let me go to face select mode so you'll be able to see. There are several faces. There's face 1, face 2, like, I don't know. I'm not ready to count it. There are several faces, but you notice that all the faces are having 4 sides, right? All these faces around here are having 4 sides. But on the top, the faces are not 4 sides. Okay? This is not 4-sided. Let me go to edge segment so you see all these edge faces. All the edges rather. There's one edge here, there's one edge here, there's one edge here. Let me go to wireframe so you see properly. Sorry. There's one edge here, there's one edge here. Now, this is an edge. This is an edge, this is an edge, this is an edge, this is an edge, this is an edge. By count, sorry, this is an edge. By count, this will be almost 10 edges. Okay. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Okay, these are all the edges that bound this face. Okay, so now by Blender's calculation, Blender calculates is able to understand edges faces that are bounded by 4 edges. But when a face is not bounded by 4 edges, that it's made whether it has more than or less than 4 edges, Blender doesn't really know how to calculate it. It just calculates it as an end rather than a continuity. Okay, so that's why whenever I do Control R, if I'm hovering on this side, it will only break. It will not go all around the object. Okay, but if I come on the lateral side, it's going to go all around the entire shape. Okay, do you understand why? Do you understand this now? I'm trying to explain reasons why geometry some things are because it's very important especially when you're modeling for a third party application, or you're modeling for something else, which is likely what most of us will be doing for XR. You are modeling so that you export it to XR. If everything is going to be in Blender, you can just manipulate, do some manipulation, and everything will still work in your render. But if you are modeling for something else, the geometry has to be right. You cannot escape it. The geometry has to be right, or else you just be having some errors, some crazy errors, because they are different softwares entirely and different platforms entirely. Okay, so that's how I'm explaining this geometry stuff. So usually you want to avoid having faces that have more than 4 or less than 4 faces edges. So you want to keep your, let me escape this. You want to keep your edges. You want to keep your faces to have 4 edges, 4 edges. Okay, so that's one rule of thumb. Maybe you might have seen me do that by force of habit. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'll be teaching you something I should have mentioned yesterday, but I forgot about it. But it's just a shortcut key and a short way of doing something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the cut here. Okay, now the cut is not going around, but don't worry, we'll still add it individually. So I'll add the cut. I'll just select and right click to snap to the middle. Then I'll come to this other side, okay, to add another cut. Okay, select and right click. Okay, Stefan, are you following? Tenny, Olaimi, Mustafa, and sorry if I didn't. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so now we have an edge here. We have an edge here, but we don't have an edge up here. Now we could easily just add an edge up here, but I wanted to do something else. There's something, if you have let me go to vertex select mode. If you had a vertex here and another vertex here, and you want to join them together, on the mesh with the face, with a line, okay, with an edge, right? The shortcut key for that is to press J. Okay, please bear in mind what I did. Let me undo again and do it again. If you had 2 vertices that are not joined together, okay, notice that these 2 vertices they are separate. They are not joined together by a line. Okay, the line only merely goes around them. If you want to join them together, okay, just select the 2 vertices, 1 and 2, and you press J. Automatically Blender will, let me go to wireframe so you see it properly. Automatically, let me do it again. Okay, select the 2 of them and you press J. Automatically Blender will look for the shortest distance between them and will connect them by an edge. Okay, good. Likewise, there's something else called fill. Okay, fill. So let's say you have, let me delete this face. Okay, let me delete the faces here. X to delete faces, and deleted the faces. Now this looks like it's hollow. Okay, so these faces are empty. But if you wanted to create a face in between these 2 edges, you wanted to join the face together, what you do is called fill. You fill the faces. You can do that for edges too, or for vertices. So if you have like an empty space and you wanted to join it together, and you wanted to create a new face or an edge between 2 edges or 2 faces, right? Or 2 edges or 2 vertices. What you do is you press F to fill. The shortcut key for that is F. Now don't confuse this with join. Okay, let me do it so I understand what I mean. First of all, you select the edges that bound it. It's edges. You select F, this one, and this one. if you like, you may select this one too. All the edges are bounded, but it's so far you select two, it's enough. Then press F to fill. So automatically create a face in between them. Can do the same thing likewise here. Okay. Now I could as well. These are. Let me teach you another modeling. Let me show you another application of the ring select that I taught you some classes ago. Now I could start selecting all the faces here because this is not a regular face. We like to select everything. I can start selecting all the faces here one by one, or I could ring select. And I told you that the shortcut key for ring select is what? Let me pick a name by random. Stefan. Hello.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, if I wanted to select all this ring, right? The entire circular place here. If I want to select it without having to select one by one the way I'm doing now, there's a shortcut key for that, and it's ring select. Okay. So what I'm asking now is, what is the shortcut key for the ring select?
Is it Shift C or Control C? Sorry.
Nope. Shift select the ring for the ring to select like a ring. It's called a ring select or loop select or whichever one you feel. Ring select. I told that all you do is hold the Alt button down, and then you click any of the edge that bounds it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. So all you have to do is you select the edge, and you select the Alt button, and then you click any of the edge randomly, and then you select all the edges around it. Okay. Hello.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's all you have to do. Okay. So the shortcut key for that is Alt, and then you select the edge. Do you get that? Okay, so I selected everything, and I'll now press F to fill the faces. Okay, F and that's fill the face. Okay. Good. So now that let's go back to our reference so we have a better view. Yeah, this is the reference. Okay, good. Okay, good. So we've added a loop cut around it. Now, why did you add loop cut? Let me explain why I added loop cut, so that we can manipulate, so that we can select this. What I did was another ring select. Okay, I could as well be selecting one by one, but get used to the ring select. You'll likely be using it a lot. Okay, so I can select the ring, and then I'll now push this outward. Let me bring my move gizmo. Let me select the ring. I can now push this outward just to create that curve effect. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create the curve effect of the individual blades. Okay, so we've pushed it out. Don't worry, it's looking like it's looking sharp now, but don't worry, we're curving it up or rounding it up now. Okay, so now we have the curve here. All right. So remember how we did the beveling, sorry, can you see me? Can you see this? Remember how we did this yesterday? Do you remember? Does everyone remember how we did that curve stuff yesterday? That's the same knowledge we're going to use to.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the knowledge we are going to use to make this sharp bent into a curve. So we're going to select the loop ring. Okay. One thing I forgot is let's just join it here. It will present problems for us later. So we didn't join these at the bottom part. We joined at the top. We didn't join at the bottom. So let's go to vertex, select node, select the two vertices, and then we press J to join. Okay. Okay, good. So now I'm pressing Alt and selecting the entire ring. Okay, so let me go to the top view so I'll be able to see the control very well. Okay, so now press Control B to bevel, and because it has no end, it will bevel. It will merely split the line into two. Okay, so I'm splitting the line into two. See how it's covering up, and yeah, I think this is good enough. Now, don't worry. You might notice that all our model has been kind of jagged, rough faces since. Don't worry. We'll learn another modifier after this that will smoothen all your models and it will start giving you that professional look. Okay, so yeah, I think let's go back to our reference. Always monitor your reference. Let's look at this. Okay, good. Yeah, so you can see the curve. Just look at it slightly. Yeah, the curve. Now we can start making the other part, the tail end to be. We can make the tail end to be sharper now. Okay, so let me go to the top view. Let me scroll like this, and let me go into vertex mode, and then we select everything here. Okay, we might even want to select the entire thing here, so we can now scale everything on the y-axis. Please bear in mind, I'm scaling everything on the y-axis. You might be tricked. You might be if you're observing something from a particular view and you're scaling, you might be like, okay, yeah, it's going the way we want because it's kind of scaling. But when you come into the 3D view, you remember that it's scaling everything relative to itself. So it's scaling everything towards the center. But that's not, since that's not what we want, we only want it to be scaled on the y-axis. Okay, so if you have something like this, we want it to be scaled on the two axes here, to be scaled around its on the y-axis basically. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we can scale this on the y-axis. Okay, so x just a matter of manipulation. Let me go into wireframe so we see this properly. Now you can select only this one, and the reason why I'm using box select is so that it can select the back face too, and because I'm in wireframe, I will be able to select the back face. Okay, so let's scale this on the y-axis. Remember, now this is looking like a nuisance to us, so we can move this upward slightly, and maybe move this upward. Good. All you have to do is a simple matter of manipulation to get that curvature. Okay, so you can just grab this and move this slightly like this. Maybe move this one even towards this place, or you select the whole thing, move it a little bit. It's basically on it depends on you. It's not there are no rules set. It's basically a matter of discretion. Okay, so good. Okay, so I believe we've created our airfoil. Yes, let's just leave it at this for now. The airfoil has been created, right? So now remember I said the top part is wider than the lower part, right? So let's go to wireframe so we can select the lower part, everything entirely, and then we scale it on since everything shrinks down, so we can, it doesn't really matter if we scale everything on all its axes, but I'll just leave it like that. So let's scale it down like this. Okay, our fan blade is looking awesome, looking good. All right, so now don't worry, we'll still apply the array modifier. We are not yet done with the fan blade. Everything is looking flat now. Just remember that the fan blade itself is twisted along its axis. It's twisted, so there's a continuous twist along its axis. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to add loop cuts. We're going to add loop cuts along this, and we're going to twist each loop cut. Okay, I'm going to switch each loop cut at a particular axis, angle, so that it will create the twisting effect of the fan blade. Okay, so to do that, we just Control R. Now I said you want to add several loop cuts. You can scroll up or down to increase the number of loop of cuts, or also. So I don't want it to be too much, so just make like 3 or 4 cuts. Yeah, I think this is this is okay. 4 cuts, and right click to snap everything to the center. Okay, 4 cuts is okay. All right, you can make 5 cuts in your own opinion, your own choice. It's a matter of choice. Okay, so now this is the trick here. Let's go to wireframe view. Okay, are you following me, please? It seems I have a feeling that I've lost something.
Yes, we are following you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. So what we're going to do is to make this easier for us, it's like I'm looking for something that will be okay. Let me use this for example. So what we have is something like this now. Let's assume this something like this for the fan blade, right? What we're trying to do is we're trying to twist the fan blade along its axis. So to do that, we added loop cuts, okay? So that we'll have edges to play around with. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each edge. It's as if we're taking an edge, an entire region, and we'll twist it. Then move on to the next one, we twist. Move on to the next one, we twist. Move on to the next one, we twist up until we get to the top. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, good. So let me just achieve that. So I will action speak better than words. Okay. So now I'm going to select the top half, excluding only this bottom one. Okay. I'm selecting everything, excluding the bottom ring. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this about the Z axis. Okay. Can you see what I'm talking about? Exactly. So that's how I'm going to achieve continuous twisting. So I'm going to rotate this about the Z axis. And we want something to be it to be consistent. So we can say something like I don't know, let's say 10. No, it's 10 is too small. Let's say rotate it about Z axis. Notice with the shortcut keys I'm typing. Let's say 20 degrees. Okay. Yeah, 20 degrees not too bad. Okay. Let me go to solid view. All right, good. Now you select everything. Go to wireframe. You do the same thing again. You select this time. You exclude the second one now. Okay. I hope you understand what I'm doing. So you now rotate the entire thing another 20 degrees by Z around Z axis, 20 degrees. Okay. Now do the same thing again. Select everything. This time you exclude one more again. You rotate about the Z axis. Are we following this? 20 degrees again.
Yes.
Okay, good. Then you do the same thing again. You select everything now. You exclude one again. Rotate about Z axis 20 degrees. Okay, and now for the last the last part, you rotate out the Z axis 20 degrees. Excellent. Then I'm going to solve you, and you see that we have our twisting. Look at that. You have a continuous twisting. Okay, it's excellent. I'll undo everything I did because I want to do something. You notice that okay, it's actually everything actually looks okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just want to make the base smaller and the top wider. So I'll undo everything for now. I'll redo it, don't worry. Okay. Maybe I'll remove this loop. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this. I'm just from the Z axis, make it a little bit bigger. And then we're good. So I'll just do the same thing, just the same process again. Just 4 cuts. Go to wireframe so that I can select the back face too. Always take note. Yeah, Busola. I think I noticed is Busola here now? Busola. I think she's off. Okay, I think she's off. All right, there was a bit of geometry error with her assignment, so I wanted to address it so that we get it together. So I'll select everything excluding the first one. Okay, excluding the first one, and the same process. Rotate Z, let's say 20 degrees. Okay, enter. Now select again, exclude only the second one. Rotate Z 20 degrees. Okay, are you following? Okay, select everything again, excluding the third one. Rotate Z 20 degrees. Okay, excluding the fourth one. Rotate Z 20 degrees. Enter. Okay, exclude the last one now. Rotate Z 20 degrees. Enter. Okay, let's go to solid view. Now you can see our jet engine fan blade is looking much better. All right, so I think we should make this a little bit longer. So let me go into object mode. No, let me do that. No, don't do it in object mode, remember. So let me let me select everything and scale it on the z-axis to make it longer. Okay. All right, excellent. So we have our basic our basic blade, a single blade. Okay. So what we'll do now, we'll now add an array modifier to duplicate the blade on a circular disc. So everything will now be that's how we create the inlets of the jet engine. Okay. So let me go into object mode to let me just move this. Okay. Yes, this is something I need to mention. Remember I was talking about origin. I was talking about origins in the first class, the origin of the object. So if I'm in object mode, if I'm in edit mode, and I grab this and move to the to one side or something like that. As far as Blender is concerned, that of the object is still at that point in the, relative to the world. Okay, so if I start to rotate around that object, okay. So as far as Blender is concerned, this is the position of this object in the world, in the. Just put that in mind. You might there's a way you it might affect the way some of your objects respond to transforms. Okay, so you want to put that in mind. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just move this. I'm going to let this flat bottom to sit right on the origin. Okay, and there's a reason for that. Let's sit somewhere around here. Don't overthink this. It's not too much of a big deal. Just make it sit around here. And the reason for that is because let me go to object mode. The reason for that is because when we start applying the array modifier will also work relative to the transform because Blender recognizes this object, the position of the object to be at this origin point. Okay, that's where Blender recognizes the position of the object to be. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a cone. Let me do it here. The reason why I'm adding a cone is because of this center place here. It's basically a cone. So I'm going to, and there's no rocket science to it actually. It's basically a cone. So I'm just going to add the cone for our center, and then we're going to add the what do you call it? The array around the cone. Okay, and we're going to use the cone as the offset object, not an empty this time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is Shift A. Remember that our origin pivot point has been set to here, to the center. If it's not at the center, just press Shift C to snap it to the center. And the reason why I snap it to the center is because that's with the position where our origin is, our origin of this object is. And what I want the cone to be at the origin so that the array will move around the origin. Okay, if your object is somewhere away from the center, somewhere here, what you can do, I told you shortcut key for that in last class. You can just snap it to that origin. Okay, Shift S, and then you snap the cursor to the selected object. Okay, let me do that again. So you see this object is selected. This is the object. This is the origin. Notice the red, the orange small dot there. Okay, Shift S rather. Shift S. Then you now look for the option that says snap cursor to selected. Okay, yes, this cursor to selected, and then you leave it like that, and then to snap the bullseye looking cursor to the selected object. Okay, to the original selected object. Okay, so now add. Let me, since I want everything to be at center, I'll just Control Z everything to bring it back to the center. All right, let me add the cone now. Shift A to add a mesh. Then go to cone. There's a cone here for us. So add a cone. Okay. Now by default, this cone is sitting upright. So let's go into edit mode, and then you rotate the cone on a 90 degrees because we want the cone to be facing the front and not facing upward. So rotate it. Watch the red around this red axis, which is the x-axis. So now rotate it about the x-axis 90. Sorry, rotate about the x-axis 90 degrees. Okay, and I press enter. Okay, so we have the cone now, and we can scale up the cone Slightly up. I think this is okay. Something like this is okay. Good. So we can now add our array. Okay. Let's click on the fan blade. Remember, we're adding the array to the fan blade, not the cone. Okay. We add our click on the fan blade to add the array. Then we'll come here to the modifier button, add the array modifier. Okay. So now we have array, we declared it once, and this is relative offset. So we're not using the relative offset, we're using object offset because we're using the cone to offset the mesh. Okay. So we're selecting object offset, click the drop down and deselect this one. Click the drop down, then you use the eyedropper to go to the cone and select the cone. Okay. Are you following me? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, good. So now that we select the what do you call it, the fan blade, now we can increase our count to whichever amount of blades you want. I don't know, let's say 32. Okay, let's just use 32 blades. So now you can select your cone. Notice that all the editing we did on the cone was in edit mode. If we had done the editing in object mode, the everything will still not be like this. Don't worry, it's not showing yet. Everything is on the it's because we've not made any transform to this. So if we move this around, you can see all our 32 different fan blades. Okay, good. All right. So now we'll now rotate this cone. Pardon me. So we can now rotate the cone about the y-axis. Rotate the cone about the y-axis. But now this is something you need to put in mind. Okay, if you rotate this cone around, sorry, let me undo this. So I feel like I'm moving too fast. Okay, good. Did everybody understand how we got to this point? Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to see if there's any message. Okay, Absalam. Absalam. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you have a question or you don't have to
Oh no, like from the parts where you started rotating the blade, I actually got lost there, so I couldn't
Okay, it seems you joined the class late, right?
No, I actually joined early. Or I
Okay,
couldn't
so
really get
where did you say
some parts.
you got lost? And like I
Like from the
said, please
parts where you started rotating.
let me repeat it again. If I'm getting to a point that you don't understand, interrupt me and stop so that we can address it before we move on. So that it won't, I don't know, so that I won't be building on ignorance, so that you would have understood the steps. It's not as if you just get there and be like, how did I get here? And then I have to go back again and start from beginning again. You understand? We have a lot to do. So if I get to a point and you're lost or you don't understand, bring me back. Don't worry, we'll get over it. The idea is for you to know the skill. It's very important that you know the skill. So I'll accommodate any questions. Okay. So what did you say, Absalam? You said you at what point?
At the point you rotated the blade and then you added the cone. That's why I
Okay,
got
you mean
confused.
this, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
don't worry.
not this.
Sorry.
Like right before
Okay,
you added the cone.
okay, the
Yeah,
fan blade
that's
detail.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go back. So I'll start from there again. Okay. Exactly. All right. So I'm trying to. Okay, let me just undo quite a few times. I don't know if I can get up to that. Okay. The Blender has maximum of 32 undos, okay, or you can increase it to 64. But yeah, the preferences. Um. Okay, we're back here, right? Look, let me undo the rotation that I've done. Don't worry about what I've done. I'm just. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to unwind the rotation, the twisting. Okay, remember that the way I twisted it was I was rotating each segment about the z axis by 20 degrees. So what I'm doing is I'm now rotating it backward about minus 20 degrees around the z axis. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'll explain everything just for. Okay. Okay, I think we're ready. Yeah, we're ready. Okay, Absalam, you understand how I added the loop cuts around the around the entire this thing, right? The entire fan blade, right?
Yes, yes, I do.
So you understand what my concern about origins and stuff. Let me add this. Let me make this sit on the yellow on the origin, something around here. Maybe a little bit upward. Okay, good. Okay, so now let me begin again. Okay, we already have our cross section to look like an F4, right? The cross section looks like an F4. F4, that curved looking shape, the shape of airplane wings. Okay, that's an F4. Okay, so now let's go into wireframe. What I'm trying to achieve is this. It's like a manipulation basically. We have the fan blade, right? And what we want to do is, if you notice from our reference, each blade is like the blade is continuously twisted around its own axis. Like the axis of the blade, each blade is twisted around the axis. Okay, each of the blade. Now that's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to make. Let me go to solid view. I'm trying to make, because the way it is now, everything just looks flat. Okay, it looks basically flat, like a flat plane that has been curved. That's all. But what we want is each the entire distance to twist on itself. Okay, to create that um that blade effect. Okay, that blade look rather. So that's why I added the loop cuts around around the entire length of the fan blade, so that that the each loop cut will serve as an edge to which we can anchor the turning. Okay, all right. Do you understand that, Absalam?
Yeah.
All right. So what I did was, I'm going to wireframe, so I'll be able to select the back face too also. I'm going to select everything excluding this first one. So the way I'm going to achieve the curve is this. Imagine this is the blade, right? We have loop cuts going around this. What we're going to do is we're going to select everything here, where everything that my finger is covering. Then we hold this one constant. Then we twist it a bit. Then we go slide upward again. This one will be held constant. We twist it again. We go upward again. This one will be held constant. We twist again. That's what we're trying to achieve. Do you understand that? Hello, Absalam.
Yes,
Okay, good. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's why I selected everything. What you did not select will not be rotated. Okay. So only this what you selected will be rotated, will be affected. So I selected everything except the first one. Okay, so the first one will be held constant since it's not selected. And I rotate this. Let me go to solid view so you see. I rotate this about the Z axis. Please note the Z axis is the vertical axis. You can check the reference here. The Z axis is this blue one, the vertical axis. Okay, so I rotate this about the Z axis. So it's going to see, you can see how it's rotating and how the first level is held constant. Can you see that?
yes.
Can you see, Absalam? Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes.
All right. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'll rotate this about the Z axis, and I want to keep a constant rotation. So I'm going to type in a specific figure, not just eyeballing it and rotating it randomly. So I'm going to type in 20. So that will rotate it about 20 degrees. Okay, 20 degrees around about the Z axis. So I'm going to type in 20 now. I'm going to press enter. Now it has rotated 20 degrees about the X axis. Okay, that's for the first stage. Now we're going to wireframe again just so I can select back face, and I'll select everything, but I'll not select this second one. You know, we selected the second one in the first one. Okay, so now the second one is not selected. The second ring rather is not selected, and the same rule will apply. We will rotate this about the Z axis. Okay. Now notice that only the ones I selected are being manipulated. are being rotated, right? And the um the second ring is not selected, it's not rotated. Okay, so rotate this about the z-axis, and we'll still use 20 degrees again. 20 degrees. Okay, I tap enter. Please bear in mind, I'm only typing 20. I did not type the degree. I did not press any degrees on the. It's if when you're pressing rotate, it automatically know that you are talking about degrees. Okay, so 20. So 20 degrees. Okay, now you can see that with the twisting has started growing from the bottom. Okay, now go again. We do the same thing. We select everything except the last one. In each case, we'll be excluding one ring, one ring, one ring, one ring. So that will be the twisting will work together with everything. Okay. So now rotate everything again around Z and tap 20 degrees. Okay. I'm going to solid view, and then so you can see how the twisting is going. Can you see the difference now? Absalom.
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Excellent. So now we do the same thing again. We rotate about the Z axis 20 degrees and press enter. Okay. Same thing again. Now you can see that the twisting has grown a bit. Now do it for the last level, and that's all. Okay. Let's go for the last level. Rotate about the Z axis 20 degrees, enter. That's all. And that's all. We've created a what do you call it? A fan blade. Okay. So that's all. That's literally all you have to do. Okay. And I'll do it again because I forgot to broaden the fan blade now. I wanted to increase the size of the fan blade. Now, okay, before rather than having to undo everything and then broaden the fan blade, I'll show you us a shortcut way of editing this thing. If you have like too many models, now if I wanted to broaden this by the way it is now, I'll have to scale this, then I'll go to iPhone, then I'll select this one, scale it slightly upward again, then I'll select this one, scale it slightly upward again, then I'll select this one, scale it just to make it broaden the faces. But I won't be doing that. There's a short way of doing that in Blender. If you have too many geometries to manipulate, and all of them are going to follow a kind of relative motion change to the one to a particular point, there's a way you do that, and it's called proportional editing. Okay, did you hear me? I said proportional editing. So proportional editing is found at the top here. Where you find this, if you see this global stuff, where you have global, just one of these panels is up here. So this is the button for proportional editing. You can click it, and you notice that a blue ring has appeared for proportional editing. If you hover your mouse over it, show proportional editing mode. Okay. So now, if I'm to do anything, if I'm to scale, move, rotate, or do anything to all these selected, notice that this are selected. If I select this and to scale, move, rotate, or do anything to it, it will add you see like a small circle that appears around it, and you can scroll in or scroll out to make the circle bigger. Now notice that as the circle is getting bigger, it's affecting the model, the vertices that even the ones that are not selected, it's affecting them in a relative form. Okay, notice that. And that's what proportional editing does. So if you have like a geometry that has a mesh that has like so many faces, so many faces, vertices, and you want to just edit it, and I don't know, but you don't want to, it's going to be a pain in the neck to start editing each geometry one by one, or you select a couple and you don't want them to move very rigid to each other. You just want like maybe one movement of one to slightly affect the other, gradually. That's when you use proportional editing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. Since I want the broadening, I want it to be slightly narrowed down. Okay, so I'm going to select only this top face. I'm going to scale. Now increase the circle of influence all the way to when I see that it's a little bit lower, then I can scale it. Okay, I can scale it outward. Okay. Now for the proportional editing, there are a few options. Okay, you can actually select how you want. Those that use so if you if you have this smooth selected, it's going to like the way the fall off. Okay, this is actually the fall off. The fall off of how the Empress S again or grab or anything. Now you see this circle of influence. That circle of influence from the center to the edge of the circle. There's like the influence is kind of fading out. Okay, the influence kind of fading out. Now, how you the fading out of the influence is what you control with the fall off. Okay, that fall off options. So these options will control how the influence fades away. So if you use this smooth, that means as the distance gets away from the center of that circle, the fall off or the way the influence fades away is going to be gradually and smoothly transmitted. So anything that is on the extreme edge of this circle will not be affected. Let me reduce it. So you can see that the vertices that is out at the extreme edge of the circle. Let me increase it again. As it covers the circle, it's only slightly affected. Okay. So those are the different options for the solution. You can use sphere will likely, it's like a graph basically. The fall off will be spherical in shape. I don't know how to explain, but that's you can, if you don't understand how each works, you can just try around, select any of the options so you see the difference, and whichever one does what you want, that's one you can use. Okay, you can see. Let me select another one. Maybe the inverse square. Yeah, and sharp. Okay, sharp will just yeah, everything, it will look very linear. It will, the fall off will be more the gradients will be more linear in that regard for sharp, and then the linear one will be very perfectly linear. So I think what I want is the linear one. Okay, so let me scale this upward a bit and make it linear. Okay, so you can see I've broadened the face without having to remove the edges and start scaling everything one by one. Okay, so that's the advantage of proportional editing. And please bear in mind, if you're no longer using proportional editing, you deselect it. You can deselect it. And shortcut key for proportional editing is 0. Is O, sorry, not 0. O. Okay, so O will toggle between turning it on and turning it off. Okay, so you can turn on the proportional editing, and if you check here and this blue place is highlighted, that shows that it's turned on. And if it's turned off, then it's to be deselected. Okay, all right. So that's about the proportional editing. So now we've created a blade of the fan, a single blade of the fan, and what I want is actually I want to make it taller. So I'm going to select everything, A to select everything, scale it on the Z axis. Note that I'm scaling on the Z axis, which is the vertical axis. Okay. So I'm making everything taller now, so slightly taller. I think that's okay for me. And remember, I want to bring it to the origin. So I'm grabbing this on the Z axis to be just slightly above, or sitting maybe slightly above the origin, which is the small orange dot here. Okay, good. So we'll go back to object mode. So now we've done our blade, our fan blade, and now add in our cube. Okay, Absalam, do you understand everything to this point?
Yes, I do.
You understand everything to this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now we'll add a cone. Okay, mesh, add in a cone. Right, so here's the cone. Now we're going to edit mode. Notice that I'm going to edit mode of this cone for a reason. Don't rotate the cone on in object mode. If you rotate the cone in object mode, rotate on x-axis 90 degrees, and maybe move it a little bit. Notice I did this in object mode. Watch what will happen when we use the cone as the object offset. Okay, so now I select the fan blade, go into our modifier panel, and then we'll select array modifier. Okay, so we can just make it like I said, 32 blades. So there are 32 blades now. But since we are not using relative offset, you can just deselect it. Okay, and then we'll select the object offset. Okay, drop down to select the object offset, and then eyedropper tool. Sorry, let me scrolling very well. This is the eyedropper tool to select our cone. Watch what will happen when I select the cone now. Select. Like I said, everything is just looking strange. And the reason is because I rotated this in object mode. So Blender now recognizes that the origin of the object has changed. The orientation of the origin has changed from the way it was to another way when I rotated it in object mode. That's why you likely want to constrain your editing to edit mode, because if you constrain it to edit mode, the orientation of the object does not change as far as Blender calculates and the object relative to the world view. Okay, the orientation doesn't change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo our cone. Sorry, I'm going to undo the cone. So the cone is in the default position now. Okay, so I'm going to add the array modifier. Array to, notice I'm adding the array to the fan blade, not the cone, please. So I'm adding the array to the fan blade using 32 blades. Okay, and we're not using relative offset, we're using object offset. So we select this. Now it comes to object offset, select it, and use your eyedropper to select the cone. Okay, now I selected the cone. Now if you want to edit the cone, you select the cone and you go into edit mode and not object mode. So anything you do to the cone now will not affect our offset. Okay, so rotate 90 degrees on the x-axis. Okay, enter. You can even make it slightly bigger. And yeah, I think we're good. All right, good. So now, if we rotate, now what we're going to do, we're going to rotate this cone about the y-axis. Okay, rotate the cone about y-axis. And okay, something like this. Let's just leave it at this. Now, in the real sense, if you want it to be accurate, you might want to use a more accurate figure. Say maybe rotate it about a specifically maybe 30 degrees or I don't know, yeah, maybe 30 degrees or 60 degrees or 360 degrees. And the reason for that is so that the angle between each of the blades, between each blade will be constant. Now, if you look, you might not really notice it because we eyeballed the ball. If you come closer, you notice that this blade and this blade, the angle between this blade is kind of wider than the remaining. Okay, so it's not really. If this was, if an airplane was constructed like this, it would definitely crash because it's not. It's there's going to be a form of vibration. That's for engineering generally. Okay, this for engineering, sure. So you want everything to be to be uniform, but this is all dependent on what you're trying to achieve. Okay. So now, because I was speaking about origins the other time. When I rotated this, note that the rotation of the object offset is done in object mode. Okay. Now, when you do in fact want the Blender to understand that the origin has changed, you do that in object mode. And when I do that object mode, that's why the fan blades were offsetted around the origin. So now notice that the cone is kind of slightly offset. It's not at the center. So like we want to do, we don't want, if we move the cone now, it's going to start messing with our distance. So we do that in edit mode. So go to edit mode and maybe look at it from front view. We cannot move our cone or something around here. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Good. So now our cone is this. It's at the center, and you can see that we've created a fan blade, a jet engine blade. Okay. Can you see that we've done that now? And all we had to use was the array modifier. And all if you're looking at this from also, you'd be like, it's looking a little bit complex. How do you achieve this? How do you do that? But all you have to do is break down the model, break it down to its barest minimum. It's look at it. What's the most basic of this is the fan blade. Okay, once you model the fan blade, you now array the fan blade to form like a disc. And then when you do that, you add a cone, and you just start adding gradually, and over time you create the entire complex looking shape. Okay, so that's all about that. Now I'm thinking we should even make our cone a little bit bigger. So let me go to edit mode, make it slightly bigger. I even want to bring it a little bit outward. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Okay, I think this is okay now. So now what I want us to do also, I want us to add a casing for this jet engine. Okay, want us to add the casing for it. And there's a very simple way you can do that. To add a casing, let me see if I can find the jet engine casing. Maybe I'll just add. Okay, say a better view of the blade. Okay, so I just want to see the Boeing engine. Okay, good. Yeah, so let's just make a casing that looks something like this. Exactly, a casing that looks something like this around jet engine. Okay, so just to do that, there's a very simple way to that you can make something this shape. What you can do is you can add in a, because it's basically a cylinder. Okay, it's basically a cylinder of some sort that is although the front part of the cylinder, yeah, you can see the front part is looking like it's having a curvature. So the cylinder is kind of it's having a curvature on this one. So the very shortcut way of doing that is you can add a object that looks closely like that. Maybe we'll just add something like a donut. They will now scale the donut on a particular axis, and then it's going to automatically create a cylinder. Okay, that's very quick way of doing that. So to add and I told us that in Blender there's a default object that looks like a donut. So you can just add in a mesh, and that object is a torus. Okay, a torus. You can't see it now because it's at the center. Let me bring it out so you can see. So this is the torus. This is the torus object. So I want to snap the object back into origin and make it bigger, so it can actually be aligned with our entire scene. Okay, so let me go into edit mode. Always work in edit mode. Scale. I'm scaling it up. So I'm making it bigger. S to scale it up. Good. Maybe yeah. S to scale up. Just a little bit bigger than this. Then I'll now rotate it about the X axis. Good. Are you following me? We're trying to create the casing for the jet engine. Okay. Can I get some feedback? It's maybe too quiet. Hello. Okay, Mustafa, I can see your hand. Okay, Stefan, I can see your hand. All right. Good. All right. So now we're going to scale this on the y-axis. Okay. Notice that as I'm scaling it, it's looking a bit more like a barrel, and that's how the casing of jet engine looks like. Anyways, so once we've done that, we can now move this the entire thing backward a bit. Okay. And yeah, I think we've done that. We can make the whole thing slightly bigger. Okay. Yeah, awesome. That's how we're creating a jet engine. You started Blender just last week, and now you already know how to create a jet engine. Okay. So modeling is not really that difficult. It's all about your creativity, how you are able to manipulate the tools at your disposal to create and to achieve what you want. Okay. So now I spoke about proportional editing earlier, and we'll be using it here shortly. And let me explain why. If you look at a jet engine, you notice that it's not really like a barrel. The barrel is kind of shrinking. It's kind of like closing up at the tail end. Okay, from this point it's closing up towards the tail end here. So we're going to account for that, and we're going to make that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the entire ring here at the entire ring here. Does anyone have any question of how I got to this point, please, before I proceed? Hello? Any comments? Hello, Absalam. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
You understand how I got to this point, right?
Yes.
Okay, Stefan, you understand how I got to this point?
Use the do not.
Sorry? Can you speak up?
Just you use the do not, Abby.
Yeah, actually it's a Taurus, but if you feel you must call it do not, that's a choice. So It's actually a Taurus. See the spelling here, Torus. But if you feel to call it, if you want to call it donut, it's your choice. No one will arrest you. Teniola, do you understand how I got to that point? And let me see who else. Mustafa. Okay, Masirichi, please take note of that comment.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Mustafa, you understand how I got to that point? Okay. Yeah, Oluwaseun. Yeah, you've been quiet. Also, Olaemi. I think Olaemi is off.
Hi, sorry, it seems I'm the only one that don't understand that last bit. This Taurus.
Sorry? Yeah, Mubarak, I can hear you now. Pick up.
It seems I'm the only one that didn't get this Taurus part. Sorry.
Okay, what exactly don't you understand about the Taurus?
The pulling out, like the pulling itself.
Okay, do you mean how I got the Taurus in generally?
No, not how you added. I know you shift A to add, and how did you like stretch out the
Okay. Sorry. I think I was saying it along now.
Sorry, maybe my network or something. Sorry.
Okay, so we have the Taurus around the fans now. Let me scale it to be just at the edge, just a little bit bigger than the fan. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger than the fan now, which is how a real jet engine would likely look like. So what I did was I scaled this Taurus around only the y-axis. Okay, I press S and scale it only y-axis. And the reason why I'm scaling it on the y-axis because the y-axis is the green axis, is the lateral axis. It's like I'm scaling the donut on its height. Okay, I'm increasing the height of stretching the donut out of its height. You understand? Okay, so it will look like a bar. If I scale it on the x-axis, it's going to stretch on that axis. If I scale on the z-axis, stretch on this axis. Along itself. Okay, so that's how the I got the jet engine body. Understand now? Hello, Mubarak.
Yeah, I get it now. Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, good. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm just moving this slightly backward. Tenny. Hello, Teniola. Tenny
Yes.
Makanaki. Are you following?
I'm trying my best.
Okay. But did you get how I got the Taurus?
I'm trying my best.
No, don't try your best. No, I will work it together. Do you get how I got the Taurus? If there's something else, just give me a specific question. I will answer you.
I'm very lost. I really need the catch up.
Okay, the catch up class, right? Okay. Masirichi. Don't worry, we'll give you a feedback about the catch up class. The catch up class. Just to be clear, can you be free during the weekend? Sorry, during the week rather, maybe Wednesday.
Yes, I can make time.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Rufus?
Yes, I can always make time.
Okay, so I think we'll likely want to schedule the catch-up class around that time.
Fantastic.
Okay, Masirichi, you wanted to say something. Please proceed. Okay. Yeah, the issue now is some people are off. Like Olayemi, I know she showed interest in the catch-up class, the last class, but she's off now, so she won't be available for the poll. But forever, whichever way, all the people that are available online now should indicate. Stephen, I can see your hand. I'm coming. Masrichi, over to you. You can take the poll. Okay, on the group or all right. Okay. Okay, good. So, Stefan, what you wanted to say something? Stefan. Hello.
Yes. So
Okay.
Taurus.
Yeah.
The Taurus. So how do you make it wide to look like the cover for the engine?
How do I
That's
make
just
it?
what I want to ask.
Yeah.
Wide,
That's
like big, like how do you ceiling
to make it like a
you know,
barrel, like a cylinder.
yeah, like a barrel, yeah.
And that's what I was explaining now. You are not, were you listening to me, or did you hear it when I just explained it again? Okay, so what I did, let me undo again, so I'll do it again. Okay, so what I did, this is the cylinder, right? And this is the torus. You understand to this point, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So I said, imagine a donut, right? If you are stretching a donut, about, if you are stretching it on on an axis, of course it's going to stretch on that axis. But if you have a donut, a donut shape, and you are stretching it along its circular, its top axis, it's going to project it, look like a cylinder. So what I did was I scaled it. If you scale the donut, scale it without specifying any axis to just get bigger. Okay. And if you scale it about, let's say, x axis, for example, so it's going to get bigger about along that, only the x axis. Okay. And please bear in mind, the axis is the, if you don't know, you can follow the reference here. So if you scale it about the z-axis, the z-axis is the vertical axis, it's going to increase along its height, right? But if you scale it about the y-axis, which is the its own natural axis, that's like the center, the axis that goes across it, right? Through its center, rather. That's the y-axis. If you scale it along the, let me move it along the y-axis. So this is the axis I'm talking about. The axis is moving right now. That's the y-axis. Okay. So if you scale and you tap Y to constrain the scaling to that y-axis, it's going to start growing to look like a cylinder. The bigger it gets. Okay. Can you see this,
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Do you understand this now?
I understand.
Okay, good. So that's all I just did. That's literally all I did. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this backwards to make the um just so that the this thing itself, the fan blade will be at the front, which is how jet engines look like. So I'm thinking I'm going to scale this. Is a little bit too big now. I'm going to reduce the size. Let me look at this from the front view. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's okay now. All right, so that's all about it. So, and I said that if you look at the jet engine, it's kind of like tapering. It's tapering towards the end point. So it's not as if it's a full cylinder like that. It's kind of motion as it goes towards a conical shrinking. So, and the way we are going to achieve that, you remember when I mentioned the proportional editing? Hello, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Remember when I mentioned the proportional editing? Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use proportional editing to shrinking the back part. All right. So this back, I'm going to only select this tail end, and I'm going to the body. Okay. So let me tap 0. Sorry, let me tap O. Please bear in mind O is different from 0. Let me tap O for the proportional editing to be turned on. And you know it's turned on when you look here. And this blue something. Okay. So if I start putting my mouse button, you can use the plus. Okay. Okay, you can use the plus. Okay, or you can use this thing, the scrolling in, the scrolling and scrolling out control. You can scroll in and you scroll out to make it bigger on your mouse pad. Okay, so I'm making it bigger, just slightly like this, a little bit, almost a little bit halfway, right? A little bit bigger than the halfway. That's circle of influence. So that when I do scale this inward, which is what I'll be doing, you can see that the transmission is actually transmitted along the axis. So it's looking like a jet engine now, proper jet engine now. Do you all understand this? Hello?
Can you say that again, please?
Hello? Stefan? Who spoke now?
It's Rufus. I was asking if you can repeat that just one more time.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was asking if you can repeat that explanation one more time.
Okay. Rufus, what I was doing is scaling, okay? You're just joining us for this first class. So in Blender, there are three ways of transforming objects. There are three ways of transforming objects, and that's you can scale it, you can rotate it, and you can move it from one point to another. So these are three ways of transforming things in Blender. So scaling, rotating, and moving from one place to another. That's like transform. Like physically, you move it to the from one place to another. Okay. So what I was doing, the operation I was doing now was scaling. Okay. Scaling is basically just like the name implies, you increase or reduce the size. Okay, and you can be constrained to a particular axis. So there are three axes here. So we have the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. And the knowledge is basically the same knowledge that you have in your graph book in mathematics. That's secondary school mathematics. Okay. So on your graph book you have x and y-axis. Okay, when you're plotting a graph. But in a 3D world, there's a third axis that is introduced. That's the z-axis, and that's what gives everything geometry. Okay. So if you wanted to do something, you can constrain your movement. Maybe you are rotating, or you are scaling, or you are doing anything. You can constrain it to a particular axis, to one single axis, maybe to the y-axis. So if I wanted to move this now, I can. So let me remove the proportional editing. I can do whatever I want with this. But if I want to do it only on the z-axis, I'll not tap Z. I'll tap S to scale, and I'll tap Z to constrain to only the z-axis. And you know that it has been constrained because if you notice there's like a small transparent blue line, or not really transparent, a small glowing blue line that has appeared. Okay, that shows that the scaling is constrained only to the z-axis, and whichever axis you select it to highlight that axis too. Okay, so if I say I want to move it, G is shortcut for move. That's grabbing. So if I'm grabbing it and moving it, I can press maybe X to constrain to the x-axis. So all the movements will now be only constrained to that x-axis. Do you understand, Rufus?
Yes.
Okay. So likewise for the y-axis, to grab on the y-axis and do whatever you want on the y-axis. Okay. So now, what I did was, do you understand when I was mentioning the proportional editing?
That's the part I wanted to get very well.
Okay, good. Proportional editing. Let me explain proportional editing again. Proportional editing is like a way of editing, like exactly like the name implies. It edits in proportion to the rest of your geometry. So if I wanted to, let me do this like this. If I wanted to if I wanted to reduce the size of this torus, for example, now this casing, for example, what I was supposed to do was I'll select this ring. I'll select the outer ring, scale it down. Then I'll select this one again, or maybe inner ring, scale it down. Select this one, the entire ring, scale it down, and I start selecting everything one by one, scaling down, selecting this, scale it down, like that. That's what I was supposed to do, right? If I wanted to apply to manipulate everything at the same time. Or if I wanted to manipulate in such a way that I want the way I scale this one, I don't want this one to be as scaled as that. I want to be just slightly less scaled, and this one slightly less scaled than this one, and also this one slightly less scaled than this one, right? So I'm going to be doing it manually. That was correct. That was the normal way. But in Blender, there's something called proportional editing, and that's this where proportional editing comes in. Let me undo everything. Okay, proportional editing. It means that if you select a particular point, any particular a point or an edge or whatever. So let's say you are scaling or you are rotating, or let's say you are rotating, for example. Let me activate proportionality. If you are rotating this, for example, right? Notice that there's a circle that appeared around the what I selected. Can you see that, Rufus?
Yes, I can.
Yes, the circle that appeared around it is the circle of influence. Okay, so whatever the operation I'm doing, whether I'm rotating, I'm scaling, or I'm moving, I'm rotating, or whatever operation I'm doing to that selected object or that selected point, the circle of influence it's as if the influence of this thing will be gradually faded off as the circle gets bigger towards the end of the circle. So meaning that the object that is the vertex that immediately near the initial vertex that is selected. Let me press S. The vertex that is immediately near will be like let's say 70% affected. Then this one that is farther away will be like 60% affected. The one that is farthest off will be like 10% affected. Do you understand?
Now I get it.
So if I'm scaling now, you notice that even though the vertex around it they are not selected quite right, they are still being affected by what I'm doing. All right, do you understand?
Yeah.
So the circle of influence, as it gets bigger, it fades off the effect of what you're doing. You can make it really small, and then only things in that are inside the circle will be affected. And make it really big, such that every other thing will be affected. You understand? You can go crazy with this.
Yeah.
And do you understand how I'm making it bigger and smaller?
No.
So all I do is when I press the maybe rotate or whatever operation that I'm pressing, I'm merely scrolling in my mouse wheel. What I'm doing, I see. All I'm doing is I'm scrolling it in and out to make it bigger and smaller.
Okay.
All right? Do you get that?
I get it.
Okay, good. So let me just press escape to remove it. Don't worry about this. Whenever you press an operation, you give a command for an operation, it will automatically appear to show you the influence. All right?
Thank you.
So that's all I did. So I'm going to select the ring select, the ring of the extreme end, and because because the reason why I'm using proportional editing is because if you notice from our reference images, the tapering of the casing is gradual. It's not as if all of them everything just shrunk at a particular point. No, it's like it's shrunken, then the shrinkingness basically is reducing. Okay, it's gradually reducing. So that's why I'm using proportionality, because it's like it's reducing in proportion to its length. All right. So those are the kind of times that you likely want to use a proportional editing. Right. So what I'm doing is I don't and I said there are different fall-offs for the editing. Okay, and these fall-offs are just basically for example, this is linear. What the one selected now is linear, meaning that it's going to the reduction in the how the influence is fading off is going to be constant. So that means like if you go like one centimeter from the center, it's going to maybe reduce like 10%, and it's going to be constant for every centimeter, 10% like that. That's going to be constant. Okay, that's why it's linear. But if you have something like smooth now, the fall off is going to be more gradient. So meaning the center might be like 100% influence, then the middle might be like the closer part might be like 70%, then the middle might be like 75%, then the extreme end will now be 0%. You understand? So it's the fall off will likely be like the curvature, the small icon that shows the curvature, the fall off will explain it better. So a sharp point would be like the center will have 100%, then the influence will fade out in a very sharp format. Okay, so that's just the basically up for all these settings. So what I want to use is smooth or sphere. No, let's just make smooth. Let's just use smooth. Okay, so if I should scale this, let me increase the circle of influence by scrolling up. If I should scale this down now, it's look, you can say it's looking like a jet engine more. It's looking more like a jet engine now. All right. So yeah, I believe we have that. I'm satisfied with how it looks now. So let me go into object mode so you can see what we have. Okay. So we've created our jet engine, we've created the fan blades, and then we've created the casing. Okay. So now this will bring us to our second the second ADM modifier we're supposed to talk about today. And the second modifier is likely something you'll be using a lot. You will likely be using it a lot, and it's called the subdivision surface modifier. Now, naturally, I would have wanted to talk about it first, but I decided to talk about array first, so that you get just a bit of idea. Okay. So the second modifier we're talking about is the subdivision surface modifier. Okay. And the same place where you found the array modifier, that's where you can find it. So you come to the panel here, and you click the modifier, add modifier, and then you look for subdivision surface. This is it here, subdivision surface. Okay. Now, what does the subdivision surface do? Let me hide everything here. H is the shortcut key to add. So I selected everything with A, and I press H to hide. Okay. So what does subdivision surface modifier do? So if you have a cube, let me add a cube, a basic cube. Now this is a cube, right? A cube has 6 faces, and it has I don't know, it's 12 edges, I think. Yeah, a cube has 6 faces and 12 edges. Yeah, I believe, yeah, 12 edges. So all these edges, there are 4 edges here, another 4 edges here, and then the other 4 edges there. So 12 edges, 4 faces and 12 edges, right? What subdivision surface does is it will take a single face or any edge, right? And it will subdivide, it will flatten the edges. It's kind of like beveling. What beveling does, you know how beveling flattens this edge, right? But subdivision surface will not flatten just the edge, like it will flatten it into 4 different parts. Okay. So if you have like you have like a, let me select more than one face now, this face and this face, right? And you bevel everything, right? If you bevel it, right, you notice that it's only flattening them about the axis. If you use the subdivision surface, notice that I selected I have the cube selected, come to the subdivision surface, and I select it. Notice that it's kind of roundings everything up. Okay, so that's what subdivision does. It kind of blends everything. It takes a single vertex and it's a vertex, it will kind of subdivide it into 3 parts and rounding it up, kind of like rounding. Yeah, basically that's just it, to rounding everything up, right? Notice that everything is still looking kind of weird. You can increase how much it is being rounded by coming to the options here. So you can notice the rounding is in the viewport. You can actually you can actually edit this in the render too. So meaning that the way it will look in the render will likely be different. Will be different if these 2 numbers are different. It will be different from the way it will look in Element. So if I increase this, it's only subdivided one level now. So if I increase this level 1, watch what will happen to the object. Let me bring it to the center. If I increase it again, it's as if the thing it's more divided, more subdivided, and more rounded. Okay. If I increase it again, it's more divided and more rounded. If I increase it again, more divided up until it's a cube. We started with a cube and it's already looking like it's fair. So that's what subdivision surface does. Okay. So it just subdivides your object. So that's why you want to keep constrain your modeling to just get very basic shapes, so that if you add this subdivision modifier, you can actually just increase the roundness and make it smoother. Okay. Now bear in mind, the higher you go, the more Blender needs to calculate for this and for the geometry, and the more Blender will start to get slow. So usually you will never have to go anything above 3 or anything above 5. Basically, you never have to go anything above 5. But if you go above 5, you can see your Blender will start lagging. If I go above, my Blender may crash right now. So so you don't want to go too high with that number. Okay. So it's kind of working in a gray area. So that's it about subdivision modifier. Okay. So another thing I wanted to mention is If you notice, all our objects, all everything will be modeled in the same. It has like a sharp looking faces. Like all the faces are looking as if they're made of flat papers. Now, if you want it to have a smooth or curved look, it, is someone saying something? Masrishi? Okay, can you unmute your mic? I thought you wanted to say something. Okay, so what if you want everything to have a smooth look, like if you want it to have a smooth curved look, not having a flat, jagged, edgy look, what you can do is you can change the shading to smooth shading, and all you have to do is just take the object and you right click on the object to bring out some options. Okay, and so for the just all you need to focus on in the first is these first two options, right? Shade smooth and shade flat. Okay, so right now it's being shaded flat, but if you click shade smooth, that's that it's actually smoothing. It seems smoothing the object. Now please bear in mind that this is not a magic trick that will just automatically smoothen everything in that regard. It still understands that you still have edgy objects, right? Your object is still edgy. So if you really want objects to be fully smooth, it will only appear smoother. Okay. If you want objects to be actually smoother, you have to increase the geometry, not of geometry. So now, um, we have a single level subdivision. We can increase the level of the subdivision slightly. Now you can see that our ball is looking quite smooth. Okay, because of that smooth shading. If I right click, I can shade flat. That's that is now looking flat and edgy. And I can right click and go back to smooth. Now looking smooth. Okay. Now there's a kink with this subdivision surface, because if you add a subdivision surface, um, look at it, we had a cube, but it has turned our cube into a sphere. It doesn't really care about where you don't want the smoothness. So it just takes everything and turns it into a sphere. Let me open someone's assignment randomly now and explain an application of this. Okay. So let me delete this cube. Um, Let me open anybody's assignments. Let's say, yeah, let's open Stefan's assignments. Okay. Stefan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, good. So I'll open your assignment. I'll just give it a second. I'm coming. Don't forget we have our jet engines here. We only heat them. Okay, so still loading. Now, the reason why we'll be applying the subdivision to this jet engine. Okay, so to make it smoother and look more professional, something like this, so it doesn't have an edgy and weird look. Okay, so I know I'm doing that slow, probably because I have so many windows open. All right, okay, I'll wait for that. Okay, let me hide the casing first. So first of all we add the subdivision to the blades. Okay, so now our blade is still shaded in flat. It's still shaded flat, and that's why you have all this facey, edgy look for the shape for the blades. So you can right click and shade smooth to make it look smoother. Okay, right click and shade smooth, and just with the click of button, we have a very. We can even leave it this way, but we want it to look much better. So, like I said at the beginning of when I was talking about modifiers, I said you can add modifiers on top of each other. So what I will do is I will add a subdivision modifier, even while I still have the array modifier on this. So I can add the subdivision modifier, Good. And this is when I add the subdivision modifier, it's made the object looks a little bit smoother. Okay, so I can go ahead and increase the cuts. Okay, so look at how smooth our object is looking. It's looking like the actual blade now. rather than having it look flat and edgy and stuff. So you can do the same for this cone to make a cone. And maybe you might not need to add this modifier. Maybe just add um the shading to smooth. Okay, so now it's looking smooth. It's looking smooth. And we can reduce this. We don't need or if you don't really need a high geometry, you likely want to reduce that because it's going to affect your workflow. All right. So now let's go to Stefan's assignment. Okay, now see this water bottle, right? The water bottle. If I want to add a subdivision modifier to this water bottle, I want to add a subdivision modifier to this water bottle now. You notice that it will completely mess up the way the water bottle looks like. Everything will become smoother, quite alright, but it will mess up the way the bottle looks like, and there's reason for that. Let me come to the modifier panel and add the subdivision surface modifier. All right. Now look at how it messed up the bottle. And I said what subdivision surface does is it takes every edge, every face, and it subdivides them and roundings them at the same time. It doesn't just subdivide them; it subdivides them and roundings them. So that's why the let me hide. You can hide the look the real-time view by just clicking this button here, this display. Okay, so it's looking as if I haven't added the subdivision modifier. So this is how it looks like originally. It has flat edges and sharp edges, and if I add the modifier, automatically everything roundens up. Now there are some times where you might want that, but in this case, I do want it to rounding up, but I don't want it to round up at some point because, like, take for example, this point in the real in the actual model. Where is my water bottle? I think I'm doing it away. Okay, so in the actual model, that region is actually sharp. It's actually sharp. Let me use the one I've done in the past. Let's select this one. So you notice that in the actual model, in the edge, there's an edge here actually. Although the edge is smooth, it's somewhat smooth, but there's an edge there. All right. So, but Blender doesn't account for that. It just roundings the whole thing up. So there's a way you can actually specify the edges that you want to be sharp or the edges that you want to be more not really sharp, more like sharper rather. So what you do there, the one way to do is you go into edit mode, okay, and you add more you can bevel that edge slightly. Let me go to edge select mode. You select the edge ring, okay. Let me add it so you see how it's working in real time. Okay, so you can actually bevel the edge, and Blender will actually recognize the edge as an actual edge. Let me increase the number of this thing. And one more thing, I'll shade smooth so that we can have a smooth object. Look at object is looking quite nice now. Yeah, good work by the way, Stefan. Stefan, is Stefan there?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, good. So let me go back to edit mode. Now I noticed that when I beveled the edge, it's made this place a little bit sharper. Let me undo the beveling. Okay, let me smoothen it. Now the object is looking quite sharp and edgy. Sorry, when I add the subdivision, it has rounded everything up, right? It's looking more like this. I don't know this what is this called? This biggie bottle, yeah. Okay, but if that's what you're going for, you can actually leave it this way. But since what we're trying to do is the swan bottle, and swan bottle has a somewhat edgy look at the label point. So let me go to edit mode. You're going to bevel the edge, okay, and bevel it. That's increasing the amount of geometry or the edges around that place. So if you go to edit mode, you can see that it's looking much better. Let me increase this. Okay, it's looking the edge at that point is looking much better. So that's one way to do it. The other way, and you need to add that to all the points that you want to have the sharpness to. Okay, so you just select all the edges, you bevel them, Okay? So you can do that, or the other way, which is like the more advised way, rather than having to bevel the whole thing, is you add a crease. Okay, the spelling of that is CREASE, crease. Okay, and what crease does is it's a way of you select an edge and you tell Blender, you specify to Blender that this is an edge and I want to keep the sharpness of this edge even after I've added subdivision. Okay, so Blender will recognize that edge as a particular edge and there is a sharp edge and it will keep that edge sharp. All right, so that's what crease does. So to use crease, you just select the edge that you want to sharpen and then you press Ctrl E. Ctrl E will bring up the edge edge options. Okay, the options for edge or anything. If you want to do anything with edges, these are the options that are involved. Okay, so Ctrl E, let me press that again. Ctrl E, bring up the edge options, and then you look for crease. Okay, crease. There's a shortcut key for that, but there's a reason why I'm going through the Ctrl E method. So you can just add the crease here, and then you scale it out. Scale it. Yeah, you can just scale it out, and the more you pull your mouse away from the center, from the object, the more the crease increases. So it's like the crease is like you tell the Blender how sharp you want the edge to be. You want it to be very sharp. You want it to be very sharp, you increase the crease all the way to 1. So it goes from 0 to 1. Okay, 0 to 1, you can have 0 0.5, 0 0.7, 0 whatever, depending on how sharp you want the edge to be. Okay, so you can make it all the way to 1, but since it's not like it's 100% sharp per se, so you can just make it like if you don't want to, you can type in the figure. So if you don't want to be random, you can just say 0.7. Sorry, let's say 0. Sorry, let's crease again. Let's use the actual shortcut key now, Shift E, the shortcut key for crease actually. But if you want to know where the crease is, you can just go to Ctrl E for all the edge option. But the shortcut key is Shift E. Shift E for that, and then you press. You can type in the actual figure. Let's say 0 point. You type in the 0 point, maybe 7. I told you the crease ranges from 0 to 1, and press Enter. So now can just see our edge is looking okay. Let me increase the amount of this here. It's not. I think we can make it even more crease. We can increase the crease. So let's go to edit mode, and we can increase the crease. Shift E. I can just pull in the crease a little bit more. I think we should even leave it at 1. Just bear in mind once you make it 1, it's not as if the sharpness will be 100%. The sharpness doesn't usually go 100% per se. It just goes as very sharp relatively. Okay, so if you go to object mode now, you can see I have the sharpness here. Okay, so let me sharpen these other ones so you can see what I'm talking about. So this one.
Is it possible to do multiple selection at the same time? And
sorry, yes, that's exactly. That's a good question, and that's what I'm actually doing right now. You can actually crease more than one edge at the same time. You can select multiple edges. Just select the edges like alt out for ring select. Then you hold Shift to actually continue to select the edges. So I want to select this one, and there's an edge here, but because the object is smoothened, it's hiding the edge. So I want to deselect this so I can see the edges. Okay, so I'll select this and this and this. Okay, so yeah, there's an edge here too, an edge here. I'm not going to crease this edge because the actual swan bottle is the indent is kind of curved, so I won't crease that edge. So I want it to be curved, but I'll crease this edge. I'll crease this one too, and this one too, this one, and this, and finally this. Okay. Okay. I noticed something. Stefan. Hello, Stefan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that this edge is double. What you did was you extruded, then you now you didn't bring it out, you snapped it back to glue, they now extrude again. So that's why you have a double edge here. Let's see when I bring this out, there's like a another
Oh, okay,
edge that is
okay.
sitting. You understand, right? So take note of that. You want to avoid having edges sitting on each other. It will just increase your geometry size for no reason. So now I've selected all the edges that I want to crease, and I now press Shift. Okay, let me unhide the effect of the subdivision surface so that we can see the effect of the crease. Okay, so Shift E to crease. I'll now pull my mouse outward ever so slightly. I might even go all the way. Okay, let's make it one, the crease one. Okay, now notice that all the edges that are creased are highlighted purple. Okay, it's just so so that Blender can tell you that these are edges are creased. These edges are creased. So if I go into object mode now, notice that it looks much more like the, what do you call it, final product, the water bottle. Okay, yeah, bingo. So here's the water bottle. That's that. It looks more like it now. It's looking very much more professional and more well done, rather than the jagged look that we had initially. Okay, so that's the power of subdivision surface. Subdivision surface just roundings our object and makes it look more smoother. And then to actually smoothen the whole thing, you just right click and change the shading to smooth. Okay, so I've look at what I've done with Stefan's assignment now. So now today's assignment, okay, maybe not today's assignment, but what you'll be doing eventually, you'll be, what I did to this Stefan's assignment, you will do it to your actual model, the model of the bottle that you did to smoothen the bottle. I told you that we'll be achieving this model. This is what we'll be doing. I think before the end of this week. No, sorry. Yeah, before next week, we should have finished this project. So we'll do this, right? We might not be texturing because we've not started texturing, but we'll just achieve the actual smoothness and the modeling properly. Okay. All right. So we have this for Stefan's model. I won't be saving it because I'm not doing assignment for you. That'll be your your own end. All right. So let's come back to our original model, the jet engine. So smoothing the jet engine, we've done the same thing to jet engine. Now let me bring back the. Please bear in mind when I hid the torus, I hid it with H, and when I brought it back, Alt H will reveal everything that has been hidden. Okay. Alt H will reveal everything that has been hidden. Or you can just come here to this outliner here. This window here is outliner window. This I button, you can click it to hide it and click it to hide it. All right. So we're going to add the subdivision to this the casing to make it look like the actual Boeing jet engine casing. So go to add modifier, subdivision, select subdivision. All right. So it has subdivided it. Notice that the shape looks okay, but it's still flat. And to change that, you can just right click on the object and click shade smooth. Okay, shade smooth, and bingo, just like that, we have our jet engine. So it's as simple as that. We've created our jet engine. All right. Did everybody follow to this point? Hello. Hello. Okay, Stefan. Who again? Rufus, Oluwashio, Abdulsalam. Are we following? Mustafa. Okay, I can see Mustafa's name. Oluwashio. Hello, Abdulsalam. Okay. Yeah, Abdulsalam, how about you? Abdulsalam.
Yeah.
All right. So did you get how I achieved this? How I achieved the smoothness, how to make it smoother and like more rounded. You understand?
Yes, I did.
So you understand the subdivision surface, surface modifier. So that's
on my own projects. The
Why duplicate
thing,
what?
like the blade of, like, okay, could you rotate it a bit? Let me show you. Like around the corner,
You
when I
know,
try to
sorry,
duplicate.
you know what? Okay, shortly everybody will start sharing our screens right now. Okay, so we can walk each other, everybody through it. Okay. So what I've done so far will be sharing our screen and we'll be doing it one by one. Okay. So I believe everybody has their laptops there, right? And Blender on. And you've been following what we'll be doing, maybe on your own and on your own screen. Right? Hello.
Okay.
All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen and Salam, you can share your screen so we'll start with you. Okay, so Mustafa, you should be ready. You'll be next, followed by Stefan, and then we'll progress like that. Okay. So Absalam, share your screen now. I'll stop sharing my screen. Abdusalam. Okay. Okay, good. All right. Um, go into the edit mode of your fan, of the fan blade.
Okay, so I
Oh, hold on. Go into object mode. Go into object mode.
I'm in edit mode right now.
Go into object mode first. You're no longer
So
sharing.
my issue is this: when like
You're no
I
longer
try to
sharing.
add a
You're no longer sharing.
modifier.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. So rotate.
Can you see my
Wait.
screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Rotate orbit around your object. I want to see something.
Okay. So my issue is this:
No, hold on.
when
Orbit
I
around the
try
object.
to
I want
add,
to see something.
with every respect,
Abdisalam. Abdisalam. Abdisalam, are you listening to me? Hello. Hello. Okay. 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 Yeah.
yeah, 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 I am. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay. So what seems to be the problem
Hello,
now?
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It seems there's a lag in your net. Okay. So what
So
seems
when
to
I
be the problem?
so when I try to add yeah, with respect to this, with respect to the cone,
When you added
it,
what? Okay. Okay. I think I saw your problem. Yeah. Share your screen has stopped sharing. Okay. Okay. All right. Our time is fast spent, and We still have quite a lot to do. But okay, I'll be rounding up shortly in the next 20 minutes or so, or 10 minutes. 20 10 minutes will be rounding up the class. But I think I understand what Abdulsalam is trying to say. I think his problem is this, and that's what I mentioned earlier, right? I said if you what you did was you rotated this cone, you rotated it while you are in edit object mode. Now you are in object mode. Any manipulation you do to the cone will affect your what do you call it? It will affect your array. All right. So if you want to rotate or you want to do anything to the cone, or you want to do anything to the cone, you have to go into edit mode. And if you want to do it that you don't want it to affect the array, the fans that the fan blades, you need to do it in edit mode, rather edit mode. So you tap tab to go into edit mode, and then you can now, whatever you do now will not be affecting the actual the object. Okay, so please take note of that. All right, Absalam, please take note of that. Now, to remedy your situation, what you can do is while you are in edit mode, in object mode, while you're in object mode, select the cone itself, okay, and press Alt G, Alt G, or okay, press Alt G, Alt R, and Alt S. Press the three. Alt G, okay, Alt R, okay, and Alt S, okay. And the reason why I told you to press that, what that does is it clears all the rotation that you've done in history. I told that Blender, whenever an object is in object mode, there's a way Blender calculates and understands its position, its origin, and its rotation. Okay, so and its position, its size, and its rotation. So whenever you do anything, maybe you take it and you move it from one point A to point B, for example. Blender has calculated that object has moved from point A and gone to point B. All right. So, or it has rotated from at angle A and rotated to angle B. So if you press Alt R, it will clear all this rotation and make all its position to become 0, 0, 0. Its rotation will be 0. Everything its scaling will be just 1, no extra scaling. Okay. So it will go to the default position. So that's why I would suggest that you do that. Absalam, press Alt R to rotate it. So now once you rotate it, then you now go into edit mode and rotate it to and make everything to face this point. So as to be like the cone of the jet engine. Make sure you do that in edit mode. But the Alt R that you'll be pressing, make sure you do that in object mode. There's a difference. Hope you understand. Absalam. Okay, yes. All right, so good. All right, so that's what you do. Then I pressed Alt R now. That's why it seemed as if all my blades disappeared. So I just basically made them disappear. So that means it cleared the rotation. Remember what I did was I rotated this about the y-axis. Okay, so I'm rotating about the y-axis. And if you want to, the reason why I'm pressing Shift is to kind of control my transform, okay, to make it small, the increment to be smaller, so it doesn't fly around. All right, so that's how I achieve this. Okay, do you understand that, Absalam, now? Ooh, sorry. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I thought I was still sharing my screen. So what I did. Sorry, someone should have mentioned that now. I said Alt R, Alt G, and Alt S will clear all the transforms. Alt S will clear all the scaling. Alt G will clear all the movements, all the transform, like all the grab movements, right? And then Alt R will clear all the rotation. Okay. So now, if you want, you should rotate in. You that your fan blades are misbehaving, you should press Alt G and Alt R and probably Alt S to clear all the rotations, so you have everything to blade. Okay, so your cone was likely sitting upright like this, and then you wanted to turn it to the side, then you turn it to the side in object mode. No, you have to do that in edit mode. I hope you understand. Okay, so now you can just, I'm going to rotate my cone back to, I'm rotating it on the y-axis. Okay, I'm holding shift so that the rotation does not fly. It's more gradual and more, it's slower basically. So I'm just eyeballing this. Sorry, we have a fan blade right now, and then I'm going to reveal a jet engine casing. Okay, so that's where we'll be stopping for this class. We have really have a lot to do. So we are supposed to deal with one more modifier today, but we'll be discussing it tomorrow in the next class. There's not too much BD about the new modifier. It does something similar to this subdivision modifier. Okay, so that's all about it. So now your assignment for today. Okay, sorry, is there any other question for what I've done so far? Please ask now, please. We're rounding on the class. What's up? Hello. Okay.
No question here.
Okay, no, Abdulsalam. Listen, you are not. Since you are not following us, I did not duplicate the cone. I did not duplicate the cone. I'm saying again, I did not duplicate the cone. Do not duplicate the cone. What I did was I used the array modifier, and that's the point of the modifier in the first place. Okay. Okay. You use the array. Okay. Unmute your mic and try to converse. I can't understand what your problem is.
So like when you added the cone, when I was following along,
Okay.
you selected the cone in respect to the blade, and then you added the array method, and then
Okay. I think I get what you're talking about.
Okay.
Now
So
what I did was let me hide this. What I did was sorry. I clicked on the blade, right? Right? Are you hearing me?
yeah.
And then I'm not using all relative offset. I used object. Remember, there are different ways of offsetting the different arrays, right? So what I was using was object offset. Scope is the third option here, and I ticked it. Make sure you have it ticked, or else it won't work. Okay.
Yeah, when I did this, my blade was looking distorted. It didn't emulate the original blade that I modeled. So that is why I was having issues.
Whoa, I don't understand.
Okay, like when I selected with respect to objects, when like I added more values, my plane was looking distorted, and I haven't made any changes to the code.
Your plane being distorted, was it after you tick the object offset?
Yes.
And that means your issue is you moved your cone when it was object mode. You know what? Just delete the cone, or you can clear all the rotations of the cone and do that. But if you don't want to go to that headache, you can just delete the cone. Select only the cone, X to delete it, and then add in a new cone, another cone, and don't transform the cone. Don't scale or move or rotate anything. Just tell me when you've added the cone. So I'll tell you the next step.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you. Can we have just like 2 more people share their screen before we round up the class so that Stefan, can you share your screen and Mustafa? Is Tolu still there? Tolu, sorry, what is it?
I've added the cone.
Okay, you've added the cone, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Now, can you see my screen? Absalam.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, so what I need you to do is, let me even delete my own cone so that we'll work together. Okay, so if you add a cone, it will be sitting upright, right? I think it's sitting upright, something like this. Okay. So now you select the blade, the fan blade. Now you have your object offset selected, and then you use your eyedropper. Notice I didn't mess with the cone. I didn't do anything with the cone. I didn't move the cone anyway. I
Yeah.
select the cone, right? Now if you select the cone, nothing will still happen. But it has been affected. So if I should grab your cone and do whatever to the cone, it will affect all my blades. Okay. So I'm escaping to or right clicking to snap it back to undo what I've done. So the cone has been targeted to this. Sorry, the fan blades have been targeted to the cone now. So if you now want to make the cone rotate and face this way, face the
Like when I just did what you just said I should do, instead of it to like stay in the same shape, it's pointing towards the x-axis. When I selected object offsets and then the count also, so it just pointed towards the y x-axis, while the original is facing the z-axis.
um I'm coming. Sure, can you share your screen? I really don't get what you're talking about. I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share your screen. Okay. Now,
So
okay.
when I clicked on this just happened. It's
It's still the
pointing towards the x-axis, and I haven't tampered with the cone.
wait. Hold. Click on the cone first. Try grabbing, moving the cone around. Um, yeah. Increase the number of what do you call it? Of duplicates for the arrays for the blade. Click on the blade and increase the number of array. Quickly, we should be running out soon. That means something is wrong with your go into edit mode of your fan blade.
Okay.
I'm already seeing error. Just go move the fan blade around as orbit around. I want to see the 360 view. Like there's hold on. You know what? Press A, tap A twice. Good. Now no, just I want to or click out basically to deselect everything. Out. No, click out. Good. Now hover your mouse over just any of the vertices and press L. No, you are not clicking. Just press L. Don't click anything. Now press G to grab and move around first. Okay, I think I know the problem. It seems you transformed this the original object, so the fan blade. You rotated it or did something to it in object mode. Okay? That's why I said you always try to constrain your editing to the edit mode. Anything, whether you are moving anything from one point to another, or you are doing, or you are rotating, or you are scaling, try to do everything in edit mode. I can know for sure because your origin is not offset. It's not even in the center. Okay. So go to object mode now. Let's remedy your situation. Go to object mode. Now press Alt R. Alt R. Alt G. Alt S. Aha. Orbit around. I want to see where is the object.
I think this is the objects right here.
Okay, I see you were scaling. Okay, I think it's a scale. You are scaling this object, the family in object mode. You are scaling this. Yeah, Mustafa, you wanted to say something. Go ahead. Mustafa, you are raising your hand.
Yeah, about
We should be rounding up the class. Very wow. Our time is way spent, fast spent. Yeah, you want to say something? Let me attend to you ASAP before we round up the class. Hello, hello, Mustafa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That so using the array modifier, create these steps. It's a very simple exercise. Okay, using the array modifier, create these steps, and that's your assignment. Make a step with 10, 10 what do you call it? With 10 steps, a staircase with 10 steps. Okay, so that's the assignment for today, and you'll be submitting that tomorrow. Okay. Hello. Did you get that? If I'm seeing here, I think I can only exclude Tenny because she said she needed the she was not in the previous classes, and she needs just one more class, the extra class. But after that, if Tenny, if you don't submit your assignments, you, you actually that person every other person has the assignment. I have the assignment of every person here. Mubarak, Stefan, Absalam, Oluwaseun, and Mustafa. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the class. Okay, good, Tenny. Okay. Um, yeah, Mr. Maserichi, you can round up the class. Sorry for taking more than. Mustafa, okay. Mustafa was asking a question. He has left now. He was asking a question. I wanted to address that, but maybe later. Oh, all right, that's okay. You guys should go and buy Starlink. What is it? But it's Well, it's, in a way, it's still much better at whenever the weather is not bad. Is of course you have your faster internet and stuff. Yeah, Mustafa is back. Mustafa, did you check the chat box? I answered your question. Mustafa. Okay. I think we should just round up the class. If you have, he can enter my